Flagler the kick. 2 to shoot. Got to put it up. And it goes for Baylor.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Jet motion they go with here with Baldwin. And Baldwin breaks free. And the Bears, Sikkim, Monterey Baldwin.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Corral on 2nd and 15 as they're chopping down on his legs, and then they take him down high as well. Ika finished it.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Well, 2 timeouts left. Minute 10 in the first half. See if the Falcons can get something going here. And not there. As dropped as Ryan, he fumbled, but it's picked up. As Micah Parsons came through.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
A very busy day today with guests, some of them live attached to Radio Row in Los Angeles with Super Bowl 56 now just a handful of days away with the Rams and the Bengals playing Sunday evening. Also former Texas great TJ Ford on UT's win against Kansas, but also with what he has seen with Baylor and men's basketball with Scott Drew, and also a close relationship with Jerome Tang and also Alvin Brooks III. We'll have Craig's Off the Radar, Paul's Top 5, former Arizona State quarterback Jake Plummer with somebody who's a part of Navy SEAL Team 6, Paul, is that
Marcus
right?
Capone, yeah.
Yep, and then Bob Golick, former NFL defensive lineman, a part of the Golick NFL family. At the bottom of the hour, we should have him today as well.
Let me just tell you one thing real quick on Marcus Capone. If and there's a lot of big bad dudes on SEAL Team 6, but if this particular guy kicked in your door, not the best thing.
Not the good thing.
He's a big, huge dude.
Yeah, most of the I've always said this about the Navy SEALs, and we've had some on the show at Radio Row or Bruce, our good friend as well. They're the ones that kill you before you know it, and that's kind of what they do. Also, LaFonso Ellis, a former star in basketball, but also an analyst in college basketball, will join us at 4 o'clock today on the Big 12 in college basketball. The chat room's going early, but a couple of notes today, and I had a story today in Sikkim 365 in the forums, but also on Twitter. We have discussed it at length, and yes, we're going to get into basketball from last night with Baylor's win and also Oklahoma upsetting Texas Tech. But the Dave Aranda contract, which Mack Rhodes has been discussing with us on and off now really for almost 2 or 3 months, The ink has been dry for 3 weeks. So Dave Aranda, apparently, according to sources that I have at Baylor Athletics, signed his contract 17 to 20 days ago. And he also just didn't care whether it was announced, not because he was trying to play drama queen or whatever, because he also wanted to make sure his staff announcements along within football, and it's just something, and I get some of the, well, when is it going to be? Can you ask him about it? 17 or 18, 20 days ago. He signed the contract. It's official. Baylor will announce it probably formally here. It could be as early as tomorrow. So that's done.
Yeah, not surprised
Always has been.
that it's announced this way or that it's under the radar, whatever. It's not the normal thing. Dave Aranda wants no attention on himself at all. He wants all the attention on his assistants, on his players, not his thing, doesn't care. And I will say this, for anyone freaking out that it may or may not have been done, just know that the fact that it's done is that Baylor has done their part. If Dave Aranda ever changed his mind and wanted him to leave, the contract extension or lack thereof would not have stopped him. That's not how coach contracts work. They're just to make people feel better, but they're nothing that's ironclad.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the buyouts going on right now. Yeah, you're right. There's not anything ironclad, and yeah, I've seen a lot of the hand wringing over where's an official announcement. I don't know. I know the contract's done. I don't care about what Baylor has to say about it because I know it's done. But a lot of people seem to need that press release to know for sure. But it's done. You can believe it or not. You can wait for that press release to feel better. I don't care. But yeah, it's good to know that contract's done, and not surprised because we've been saying this for a while now. And, it's great for the program to have some continuity. But, the same thing Paul just said, what's everybody going to celebrate it and then next year going to freak out again?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of the downside to anything having to do with contracts is, who's the first person to be Debbie Downer and comment on the thread? Well, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? So it's there's always going to be that person.
Well, it was me, I guess, on the show, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, just the typical, I don't know.
You're right.
But anyways, Dave Aranda's contract's done. That's great. I'm kind of tired of talking about it at this point because we have been talking about it since before the Sugar Bowl, and it's February the 10th. Sugar Bowl was January 1st. So we've been talking about this for over 5 weeks now, and they still don't have an official announcement, but that's fine. He signed, and that's a good deal.
All right, so that's that. Last night, Baylor men in Manhattan. We'll get to them. But last night, perhaps the biggest story of the Big 12 was what Oklahoma, who has been in this long slide at home, shot lights out and beat Texas Tech. And by the way, Texas Tech is still as good as they were as when they beat Texas, or as good as they were when they won against Kansas, as good as they were when they played Baylor and won here in Waco. But it's the Big 12, and you're going to have one of these. You're going to blow a tire, and everybody probably will. Even Kansas might have a tire that they pop. And so that kind of, again, with Texas beating Kansas, Texas Tech losing, UT's won a couple in a row. They play Baylor Saturday night. Baylor has bounced back after the loss and getting drilled by Kansas. That top is still kind of those four teams. TCU's hanging around. It condensed a little bit.
Yeah, and look, I didn't think anything different about Texas. I just know OU didn't miss shots. I mean, they're making shots last night, and Baylor was a little uneven in the first half, I guess, but the second half happened and they took control of that game and found their stroke. And Jonathan Tchamwa was fantastic last night. Only missed one shot. Played with a ridiculous energy. Even a lot for him. I thought he was certainly the spark for that team and something maybe needed. Because they needed somebody that he had to channel that energy into the right way. It wasn't just running up and down the floor. Sometimes it's some intensity, and we saw a little of that from him last night. Saw a little bit from Flo Thamba.
Yeah.
And
so, it looked like not quite Gonzaga angry, but it was a little bit more intense that we've seen, it may be on and off this year.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what they need to do to put a chip on Flo Thamba's shoulder that won't leave.
Have a box of champagne outside the Baylor locker room or something like that.
You can't run that one that play too many times. But I liked what I saw. Akinjo kind of reckless early, but I think that's what Akinjo is. He might be reckless early, but once he finds himself, he's really hard to stop. So most everything we saw last night was
they won the game.
Yeah.
They won the game. One of the things about Akinjo, two things that to me what gets him in trouble, is his crossover dribbles in traffic. It can be a little bit reckless, but also on occasion he finds himself jumping in the air to either try to take a shot or a pass, and it always kind of ends up. It was part of a game. They were up like 8 or 10 late in the game. You could see Scott Drew was frustrated. He went inside, and he kind of got himself airborne, and then it was just, And again, but how about Nigel Pack from Kansas State? This guy's really good. 30-something points. He lit up Baylor's defense, but they found Jonathan Chamachacha was crazy. So, basketball. Think about this. March Madness is known because Cinderella. Now, not all these teams that have beaten these other teams are Cinderella, but last night SMU beat number 6 Houston. So this week alone, since Monday, right? Auburn, number 1. Houston, number 6. Duke, 7. Kansas, 8. Texas Tech, 9 have all lost. And it's Thursday afternoon. That's just this week alone of what's happened with the SEC, the Big 12, the American Conference, and also the ACC with some teams going down. So that's college basketball in a nutshell. That's how deep it is, how good it is, and maybe how much more spectacular March Madness will be when we start it sometime in March.
Yeah, nice win for Oklahoma. They really needed that. Tech, I'm sure that's a tough pill to swallow because you just probably weren't expecting that one. But that's life in the Big 12, as you said. And I think one thing we did not mention about Oklahoma, Umoja Gibson is from Waco University High School, and he's literally from right over there. And he had a big night last night for Oklahoma as one of their better players, and he's a big part of that win over Texas Tech. So you had a guy from right here that was putting up some big numbers for the Sooners last night. So that was cool to see. And, yeah, just a big win that they needed and not a loss that Texas Tech wanted, but gives them a little bit less room for error. And you look at Baylor and all the hand-wringing, and, it's just been hard for me to get, too up and down with this team because it's just let's get to March. Let's get to March. Let's get them healthy. And, talking about it in, December, I feel like they're going to be fine. They just need to keep grinding it out. And sure enough, you look up, and for all of the hand-wringing and all the talk about the injuries and everything else, they're in second place in the Big 12. Yeah. You think we were talking about the 8th place team in the Big 12 that was coming off a national title sometimes. Not that extreme, but sometimes it does feel like it because even when they win, it's but that wasn't you know what I'm saying?
Because they spoiled everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody got so spoiled last year that now it's you got to be pretty spectacular to really blow people away, it almost feels like. But, it was huge for them to get a win last night. We talked about it wasn't a must-win, but in so many ways you could look at it that way. And so for them to go out there and eventually just, smash on the gas basically and pull away there, that was good to see. We haven't really seen that in a while, it feels like. So it was a nice fresh breath nice fresh air. Breath of fresh air. There we go, yeah.
Baylor's a half game back of Kansas. Now, they'll have their hands full Saturday. Texas comes to town at the Farrell Center. And UT, again, getting some mojo and some days to relax themselves a little bit after the win against Kansas on Monday. I thought Jeremy Sohan's presence was great. You can see where Akinjo and Flagler are starting to get a little bit healthier. Still not 100%. Still no LJ Cryer. So Jonathan Chamachacha had 21, hit a 3 late. He was there. He was electric. He was energetic. He's always kind of in that huddle at a free throw line or whatever, kind of because he's taller than everybody else. He and Thamba putting his arms up and let's kind of gather. That's something all teams do. But he seemed like he had a little extra in his step, and he was a part of yesterday's post-Kansas State win post-game.
Jonathan, obviously the team needed a spark, and you gave it to them not only just offensively, but it appears as if maybe on the court, your leadership, there's been kind of a question from Coach Drew about that. Not you, but who's going to step up? Has that been discussed at all, or you just went out there and did it?
I feel like it's an every night thing, and it's really rotating because we're not a one-man show or a one-man team, and we don't only have one leader. So every night, we have different guys stepping up and just pulling in. There's never a single person being a leader on the floor. Personally, I'm not that much of a vocal leader. I'm more a leader by action. I do stuff and I lead by example. James lead by example and the way to talk. Adam talk to the team. I'm not the only leader in the team floor as well. The way he carry himself and the way he talk to the team. So I feel like it's more like a community thing everybody brings in.
So that's Jonathan Chamachacha after the game. And we've heard and we've discussed it. Scott Drew's brought it up. He said it to us live earlier in the week, and we've discussed it. We've heard it, and even in the episodes on ESPN Plus, whatever, that they kind of don't have a vocal leader. And you don't just raise your hand and say, I'm going to be the guy, because that usually means you're kind of you're damn sure not the leader. So Scott Drew on Jonathan Tchamwa, and did he see kind of what he's been missing and looking for?
Scott, you've mentioned something a little bit about, needing someone to stand up and not to raise their hand and be a leader, but did you see a little bit of that from Jonathan tonight, a little bit more, maybe not just because of the offense, but his role overall?
Yeah, well, John always gives us great energy, and we all feed off of that. And he's only played basketball since 16, so sometimes he is vocal, but sometimes the hardest part is to know what to say and where to be. And I think the more and more comfortable on the defensive end he's getting with that, the more vocal, and the more vocal you're during the game, it's easier to be vocal in timeouts, huddles, and he's such a likable guy. Everybody respects his work and appreciates him. So when he says something, we take it serious. The other thing is, I think James and Adam are starting to get healthier. Adam's still not 100%, and I don't know if James would say he is now, but as they get back into a rhythm, it's a lot easier for them to lead when they're feeling better as well.
All right, that's Scott Drew, Jonathan Tchamwa, Baylor and Texas Saturday at the Farrell Center. Ought to be rocking. I saw where the student section's tickets have already been sold out, and they should be. And they should be all of the time. And I know that there's always a little bit of this and that. All right, we're going to have Bob Golick at the bottom of the hour. A couple of NBA notes. Not sure if you saw this. You talk about trading drama for drama. The Brooklyn Nets today, and I know that we don't talk NBA. We don't discuss it much. Are you going to bring this up on your Off the Radar?
Go ahead.
James Harden traded to Philadelphia in exchange with Ben Simmons coming back, coming to the Nets. Now, there's other names involved too: Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, Paul Millsap. Is that not one for the other?
It's interesting because
Craig did on Tuesday did all that about Ben Simmons and the stuff and the trash of what he's about.
Ben Simmons,
I wouldn't say the trash of what he's about.
The drama, the whatever,
not
the litter.
Demean him as a person.
No, I get it. Okay,
yeah. But Ben Simmons decided not to show up to work and threw out a bunch of different reasons, excuses, which all don't necessarily overlap. There's not a clear Venn diagram as to what's going on with Ben Simmons. He didn't want to play for the Sixers, made it very clear and didn't show up, sacrificed $20 million to do so, and is now going to apparently really excited, according to Rich Paul, about playing for the Nets. James Harden got tired of playing for another team again, and instead of not showing up physically, he just didn't show up when he was in the game.
He basically
he dogged it. It's I think the problem with James Harden is he is mostly uncoachable, and he only thinks there's one way to win games, which is James Harden scoring 50 points. But that's not going to work when you have Kyrie Irving, although they don't have him that much because of his vaccine stance, and Kevin Durant, although he's been out. And the Nets are in a 9-game losing streak, so Harden's not been helping him during that time. So both teams had to do something.
Yeah, just if anything, you're trading drama for drama. The Mavericks.
I mean, you're also getting a great player. I mean, if you're the 76ers, let's not act like he's not a 3-time scoring champion in the MVP vote in the last 4 years, like right there, if not winning, in that final tally. James Harden is a fantastic basketball player. I don't necessarily enjoy I don't know. I wouldn't say he's one of my favorite players to watch. There's things about his game that I don't know. I don't find as entertaining as other I'm not a diehard NBA fan though. So those who watch, I know that they love watching James Harden. I appreciate watching him as well. He's a very talented player, like I said. But yeah, there just seems like a little something off. He can't just get somewhere and settle in. Is always kind of on the move or unhappy or whatever. And we know the Ben Simmons 76ers drama that's been going on for quite some time at this point. So, yeah, it just makes sense that you can look at it as they're just trading problem child for problem child, but what if that problem child fits better in Philadelphia than he did in Brooklyn, and the one that was in Philadelphia fits better in Brooklyn than he did in Philly? And, look, maybe you get something out of Ben Simmons. Maybe you get something out of – Philadelphia fans, I think, are fired up. We'll see with Simmons and the Nets. But, yeah, that's a blockbuster, massive swap, and, we'll see how it shakes out in the Eastern Conference now, because that is a disruptive move that changes some things. But I got to say, with the Nets, that whole thing to me, and just seeing Harden move on, it it's just funny to me to look at all of the hype there was for that super team, and Brooklyn's going to win all these titles, and they're going to be like the LeBron, Heat and the Lakers and everything else, and they did all of pretty much nothing together. I mean, when all was said and done, the big Nets combination. So, I do find that interesting because there was so much talk about that, and you can't just put a super team together and guarantee a championship, I suppose.
Well, they're a Kevin Durant missed shot away, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they didn't get close. I'm just saying that, like, ultimately, how short was it? It was like a couple seasons, and that was it. And that was all that talk, and then just a blip on the radar ultimately.
I wish they would take it to let Harden and Simmons play together.
That would be something else. But here's the reason that LeBron's super teams worked and that the Kevin Garnett super teams worked, in particular those particular stars. And we can talk about LeBron's non-basketball life all we want, but LeBron as a basketball player is not selfish. LeBron is all about what's going to make the team work, and that's why if he has to change things up, I mean, he's the one who wants Anthony Davis on the team. That's what he wants. He understands how to make the game flow a little bit better than a lot of these guys, and I think that's big. And we'd be remiss if we don't. I'm sure Craig will get deeper into it in off the radar. But Kristaps Porzingis also traded away from Dallas today. So
and that's a guy that's been frustrating for Mavericks fans. When he
didn't
plays, he's good, but he doesn't play very much. But they're also getting a couple of guys that don't play very much. I saw Chuck Cooperstein discussing that as well.
I mean, that's another. It's kind of like the Brooklyn Nets thing. Is there was a lot of hype about Kristaps and Luka and the pairing that they could have made, and there were times when it was really good, and you saw the flashes of what it could be. And the problem was that just those flashes were very few and far between, or they didn't last very long. They burned out very quickly, and a lot of that did have to do with the fact that Kristaps is basically, he's glass. I mean, he's glass. He gets hurt a lot. When he is healthy and when he's at the top of his game, he is. They call him the unicorn for a reason. I mean, he is very talented, but it just never quite gelled the way that I think that they thought it was going to in Dallas. They took a swing and they missed ultimately. Still got Luka to build around, and that's great, but I don't fault them for trying something. Just the only thing was that try in particular with that player in particular, you knew that it was there's a chance, there's as good of a chance it wasn't going to work out as it was that it was going to work out because of injuries and whatnot. So, Dallas has to turn the page. I think it's almost good in a way because now you can start to just, instead of, if Kristaps can ever, if they ever, Luka and KP play together, we can just get done with that now and move on and start building something new and, not waste too much more time with Luka Doncic.
19 points, 8 rebounds is what he's averaging. But again, it's 29 minutes a game when he plays. 34 games this year out of they probably have played around 50 or 60. Last year played in 43. The year before that, 57. The year before that, 48. And so he misses a lot of time. Not to the point where it shuts him down like for an entire year, but there is a lot of that. You never know at times when he's available. So we'll have, I believe, Bob Golick, part of that Golick family, at 3:30. TJ Ford, he was the National Player of the Year for Texas. They went to the Final Four, back with Rick Barnes as the head coach, and I had a chance to visit with him earlier today. His thoughts about Baylor, but also that Texas win against Kansas and what Chris Beard has done. So that's coming up today. LeGarrette Blunt, Jake Plummer today. We've got it loaded up today, and LaFonso Ellis today. All of that and more. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Over the years, reputation from Pioneer Steel and Pipe, the Pioneer Boys, the Pioneer Way, has been all about building one customer at a time. Been referred to as the boys at Pioneer, Pioneer Boys. Their website is pioneerboys.com. No matter what, they stake their business on how to treat you, the customer, as if you're the only one in the building. But when you're there, you'll see others there and others who come back, and they come back, and they come back because they're always satisfied. A firm handshake, which is the old-fashioned way, even a hot cup of coffee, a bag of popcorn. But what they'll ask you is, what do you need? What project are you working on? They have metal buildings, metal roofing, pipe and steel, 2 locations, one in Waco and a new one being built in Waco, and then also in Bryan, and they've been in business since 1943. It's what you need when you build, whether it's commercial or real estate. The Pioneer Boys, pioneerboys.com.
Save big during the President's Day sales event at Allen Samuels. The new 2021 Chrysler 300 has total values of $3,000 or 0% for 72 months and $2,000 in bonus cash. First responders get an extra $500. Shop their huge new car and truck inventory for power, performance, style, and reliability today from Allen Samuels in Waco at the President's Day sales event going on now.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Call us on the Bet US hotline, 254-339-1122.
All right, we're awaiting Bob Golick, former NFL lineman. He's been an actor. His brother Mike, NFL lineman, and also just kind of a funny guy. He was a part of, again, you know how much I don't watch a lot of the television or whatever, but Saved by the Bell, the college years. Did you ever watch that?
Did I ever watch it? I watched every episode of it. He was the RA. His character's name was Bob on the show. He was very good in the show, as was everybody in the show. I mean, every Saved by the Bell that's ever been done has been good. That's a lie. It's not true.
Yeah, I don't know about the new ones. Yeah. I haven't watched any of that. I refuse to because it's I'm at that age now, right? I mean, I'm not gonna watch the reworked Saved by the Bell. I'll stick with I'll stick with the original. It's like I understand, when people who are older, they don't want to watch the remake of like Casablanca. No, I don't care to see Leonardo DiCaprio in the new Casablanca or what. It's kind of like that for me. But yeah, good deal. And Saved by the Bell, the college years, definitely watched all of however many episodes there were there. It was a little bit of a strange show because they inexplicably just don't explain where like half the original cast was, and then they just start popping up randomly, and they're going to college too. But yeah, I enjoyed him on that show. Actually, probably appreciated him more for that than as a football player, honestly, just given how my age went. But yeah, looking forward to talking to him if we get to.
Yeah, we'll hopefully do that about 3:30. Now, we have been on Radio Row dozens of years. For me, it would have been like 26 years this year. Craig's been a part of it for many years, and Paul, you have been a part of it since 2011. So it's like the stock market. It's like trading. It is a street fight. It's like Gangs of New York in the media, and we kind of missed that energy. But this year we didn't go because of just who could go, who wanted to go, etc. And then also just because. Well, we have other things to cover as well, but we are going to have a flavor from Radio Row here momentarily. Lee Buttercup. I met Jonathan Chamachachua one night at George's. I expected the monster of a dude to have a Shaq-like deep voice. Dude actually has a soft-spoken R&B higher-pitched sound, dripping with coolness.
Yeah, I don't think he's somebody who probably gets angry, like, in the classic sense. He's just... he's very, to steal it. He's the joy. He is the poster child for joy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he does.
There was an alley-oop to him, I think it was yesterday, and he mishandled it last night against Kansas State. He mishandled it, an easy shot, a big moment, and you could just see him, and you're like, he's so frustrated with himself, not the pass, but just the fact that he missed that opportunity. But he did seem to be just absolutely focused. And I want to make this comment as well. Earlier this year, the Baylor women were beaten by Kansas State coming off a COVID deal. They annihilated them last night. I mean, destroyed them, doubled up on them, and they continue to be on fire. And a nice win for Nikki Collin and the Baylor women's basketball team. And they held the girl, Lee, who had 61 points in the game like 2 weeks ago, to 8. Just dominated the game, and it kind of an early loss that was a bad loss for them when they weren't quite there 100%. So that's a nice win for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, to do that against the Aoki Lee is a nice deal, something to hang your hat on. And, yeah, I mean, the Baylor women have seemingly gotten it together, still shorthanded, but playing a lot better, seem to be finding their identity maybe a little bit. I mean, not all the way, but certainly have made huge strides in that regard. And, yeah, they're winning games. The thing is with them, nobody should have expected them to, struggle to make the tournament with a coaching change. A legendary coach left, but, they still had some talent left over, and it's still, ultimately, it's about the program. For a few years, Baylor football is nothing without Art Briles, and now there's been, multiple coaches since then, and now it's about the program, and it's not about a guy, because Rule did it, Aranda's done it, Briles, it's not about one guy. So, until somebody comes and wins a Big 12 title or wins a national title in women's basketball, it's going to be like, well, Mulkey's the only one that could, but I think Nikki Collin has every bit of room to be able to go and still win Big 12 titles and do all that, and they're right in the hunt right now, so we'll see what happens. They have to finish, but, they're definitely in a much better spot than they were a few weeks ago when you were kind of wondering where are the wins coming from, and now, beat Texas twice in 3 days. It's 2 top 25 wins, and now you're done with them until the tournament. If you do face them in the tournament. So, yeah, it's good to see them having some success.
No question about it. And they have – the one concern that they have is they do have to play at Ames against Iowa State, who they dominated about 3 weeks ago. But they have the 2 losses to Oklahoma, who's slightly ahead of them, and that's a head-to-head. So there's still room to go. Plenty of games left for others to stump their toe like Tech did last night. For the first time in a while, really, for them. And Mark Adams even said Texas Tech's head coach has done a great job. Maybe the coach of the year, maybe in the country, but also in the Big 12. And it's still games to be played. So it's the first time we've gotten kind of beat up. First time, we got beat up. We got to move past it, move on. And they have Baylor at home next week. And, of course, a game coming up also this weekend. By the way, I mentioned yesterday Steve had to drive back from Florida all the way into Findlay, Ohio, like a 13 to 15-hour drive. He got home last night at 10:30, spent today with his mom and dad. I had told you his father has not been doing well. He was in ER. He said, Dad's making a good recovery. He's one of our listeners. He is too mean and stubborn to be ill for too long. And so good to know that, Steve. Glad. And in fact, Steve, listening again today, one of our loyal listeners. Thank you, Steve, for being a part of the show again today. For Joey, on the chat room, years and years I was a Rams fan. Then I gave up on all hope a few years back, quit watching the NFL period. Now, think I will have to try to have that same approach with West Virginia, who they frustrate the hell out of Joey day in and day out.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Basketball's not really in the mix. They're not in the conversation. And football, that was just I don't know how you would describe that year. I think because it would depend on who you're talking to. You know what I mean? Like, is there somebody who's just looking for certain little small strides and they're content with that? Then they feel like Neil Brown's probably got it going. If you're looking for right now, I want to see massive progress. They're not quite there yet. He's now to the point where he's been around long enough to where next year, you really need to show something. You really need to show that you're not still retooling and rebuilding, and you need to have your claws sunk in and be ready to go win some football games. Jarrett Daggy's gone now. There's not going to be that that excuse there. And anytime something goes wrong, he was kind of the scapegoat a lot of times, and a lot of times it was he was part of why they were not winning football games. But that era has now turned the page, so you're gonna have a fresh quarterback in there. That should, at least excite the fan base a little bit. And, they're recruiting pretty well. They're right there in the middle of the Big 12. And I think I was looking at the transfer rankings yesterday. I think that's what I was looking at. And I think we're in the upper tier of the Big 12. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize. But I know they've been putting some work in recruiting. So, we'll see. I mean, it's easier to get better faster now. So you really don't have an excuse to be 4 or 5 years in and we still don't have this or we don't have that. No, now with the transfer portal, you really have no excuses to have massive holes on your roster or things that don't get better ultimately in a year or two. So there's some things to get better there, and that'll be a team I'm very curious. I mean, I'm curious about all the teams, but that's one I'm just very much wondering about right now heading into the next season.
Well, Joey, I'd like to know how you do that. I mean, I've tried to multiple times quit FSU.
No, you haven't.
I mean, there's times where I'm I don't even care that they're playing today, and I go to the grocery store and then I'm I'm just going to check the score and they're winning. And I just shove things in my cart like I'm on supermarket sweep and get home and watch it. Or I turn the game on my phone while I'm sitting in the checkout line. So yeah, I've got a problem. It's just never going away. I'm just going to have to accept it.
No, it's why I say, and I hope fans do this, even if you get spoiled because you're an Alabama fan or you're a Georgia fan or fans that win, fan bases that win consistently. Look at LSU. They went from national championship to a wreck. Look at what Texas, a huge blue blood logo, everything, all the money in the world. They spent a decade plus in mediocrity. Look what Nebraska's dealing with, Florida State. That's why when your team is winning, even if it's for a weekend and for a year, I'm telling you, things are changed where teams just don't run the table like they did back when you had 30 years of winning streaks or 30 consecutive years of a bowl game or top 10 minute. FSU had that crazy list of winning in the top 5 for 15 years. Miami. It's different. That's why you should enjoy the wins when you get them. And it looks like the Bob Golick thing's a little bit iffy, and that's fine. We got TJ Ford coming up next anyway on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Well, I won't know what it's like to work with Kelly Kapowski. That's a real shame. It's unfortunate. But no, I mean, West Virginia, I was referring to their regular recruiting ranking, not the transfer rankings. They're towards the second half of the Big 12.
Well, they lost a lot of guys too, yeah.
But no, they lost a ton of players, but the transfer rankings don't account for that. If the transfer rankings accounted for the minuses, then West Virginia would be, I think, dead last because they would have so many minuses that no matter what additions they made, it wouldn't make up for that. But they did finish top 4 if you go by 247, for example, in the 2022 class. So I mean, there's something, but yeah, there's not a lot of mojo there right now. There's really not, and I think people know that Neil Brown needs to win soon, and not just make a bowl game, but let's get to winning now. Let's get to actually winning some games that we're not expected to win, and not have a question of if a bowl game's on the table or not. And I like Neil Brown. I've said all along since he was hired, I like him, and I hope he does well. But they do have a lot of questions to answer.
Well, in fact, we have numerous when all hell broke loose in late July with Texas, Oklahoma, and the SEC. And I got an SEC financial note that's a very positive, and another reason why Texas and Oklahoma can't wait to get there as well. But West Virginia fans, BYU fans, UCF fans, Cincinnati fans, a lot of you came and joined us, and we appreciate those who are still here with us. Here's a note from the SEC. They have their coaches meetings today, and Brian Harsin darted in and then darted out of those meetings because that's the story, of course, with Auburn and the drama there that we do need to discuss more. The SEC, Ross Dellinger, announced it distributed $777.8 million to its schools, roughly $54 million per school, $10 million more than last year.
And guess what? Florida announced today that they lost $36 million over the pandemic. Really? Even with all that. So they still lost. Yeah, Florida.
Big boy school.
Yeah.
Lots of money, right? Mm-hmm. Huge donor base.
I would love to know how that happens. How did you spend, $64 million, right? If they were 10, you're saying they're 10 in the hole?
They're 36. They lost $36 million, so they made 54. And we're planning on making 44 and still spent $36 million more than the 54.
So I'm sure coaches' contracts come into play there somewhere.
Well, I mean, probably the last 4 football coaches.
Yeah.
They're still buying off.
I was going to say that has to be like the large chunk of it, because I don't know how, even with facilities and all the other stuff that you spend money on, I don't know how you make that much and then be that much still in the hole. But it was a pandemic, and I know that did hit certain teams. We talked about Iowa had a negative deficit, and that's interesting, though. And I'll have another note on Florida and NIL stuff coming up a little bit later and off the radar.
I got to do this from, let's see here. Wait a minute. JT was like, okay, now that we've discussed Aranda, when's Scott Drew's extension? Sarcasm, of course, included.
That's actually, that's floating around out there. I know, because somebody had to comment on it the other day. And Mac Rhodes said something about it, I think. But we'll see what happens there.
So JT said that in sarcasm. So I sarcastically responded, you have been blocked, because he was making fun of course, the constant turmoil of. So then he just texted in from a different area code. He said, if you don't want to unblock me, I understand. I won't text the show anymore. We were joking.
We're joking.
JT, we love you,
JT,
man.
you're completely good all the time.
Oh, my God.
All the time.
And he goes, so JT, you are back to the old original number, which I actually put up a fake message that you were blocked. Thank you for.
I'm surprised that Smokey was able to do that.
Well,
here's the deal.
If you put brackets, it makes it look like it's an AT&T number.
I can't believe you pulled it out. I'm kind of proud of you.
Maybe you can set up your own Apple TV now.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Biscuits and Gravy said that all of you should be ashamed of yourself for not coming to the condo to help fix that up for me.
Now,
buying the equipment.
I have a 10-trip limit that I'm already over.
Not for other things. Hey, it's like a deductible.
Did I not have to leave in the middle of a show last year during COVID and come to your house and fix your microphone?
Yeah, because you didn't do it right the first time. All right, one other quick note from Joey. I was sweating. Beer cans. Kirby Smart will have the next college football dynasty. He's a huge Georgia fan, and Kirby, look, he started.
Yeah, I mean, they did the hardest part already of forming a dynasty, and that's winning the national title. So, yeah, I mean, you can't say that they're not on their way. They're in the driver's seat right now. If they can build off of what they did last year, certainly. I mean, I think they end up with the most NFL Combine invites, I believe.
Yeah, 14.
Which is not surprising considering the success and the run that they had. And that was a big part of why people were expecting so much of them from last year. So, yeah, they'll lose a lot, but it's like Bama. You become like Bama, and or Ohio State, for example, and it's not about rebuilding, it's about reloading. And so if they can just continue to reload, which I don't see why they'd have a problem doing that, they're going to be consistently in the mix. There's no doubt about it. And, it's a lot easier said than done, though. I mean, even look at the Patriots dynasty. As much as they won, there's still a couple of brutal losses in there, right? But they just kept coming back. Same thing with Bama. Bama hasn't won it every time they're in there, but they're in it all the time. So, yeah, if Georgia should consistently remain in there, they should not have to wait that long for another national title, and they're in a good spot.
When we come back, he was the National Player of the Year at Texas, took them to a Final Four, was a part of one of the greatest dynasties in high school basketball history in the state of Texas at Willow Ridge High School down near the Houston area in Sugar Land, and he used to he knew Jerome Tang when he was a little ankle biter. Not Jerome, but TJ Ford. He now has his own academy helping feed basketball talent to colleges and camps. TJ Ford on Texas and Baylor, and that game Saturday, and both programs. Next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Thought my mic was unplugged there for a second. They got a lot of great deals going on right now over at Richard Carr. They are the people you can count on, and we talked for probably a year now about all the supply chain issues and how that's been interrupting dealerships. And I don't know how much progress has really been made there, but there has been some progress made, because if you've been waiting to buy a new GMC Buick or Cadillac, now is the time, as Richard Carr is consistently receiving deliveries of new cars and trucks each week, so you can get on their inbound vehicle list right now and make sure to get a new car or truck as soon as they arrive, and get a new car or truck for 0% financing for 72 months for qualified buyers. If you're in the market for an SUV, well, they've got plenty of options for you. 11 different SUV models from GMC, Buick, and Cadillac. It's a one-stop shop for all your SUV needs, because not only do they have 11 different SUV models, but they have dozens of trim options on top of that. You can look at the fun and nimble Buick Encore, or check out the sophistication and luxury of a Cadillac Escalade, but regardless, Richard Carr has the SUV you need starting at $24,000. So call now, come by now, or go online to find the perfect SUV for your family. Not everybody's looking to buy new. Heck, it's hard to buy used cars these days, but Richard Carr is loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All of them have gone through a 172-point inspection, and they have over 10 lenders who are looking to do what it takes to get you in a car today. 100% credit approval is always the goal at Richard Carr, so go online or come by for a test drive today. Trust the good local people you can count on. Over 20 years in Central Texas, proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Former NCAA Player of the Year and Texas legend, NBA guard TJ Ford with us, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Thanks for your time today. How big of a win do you think that was for Chris Beard in Texas to get that win Monday against Kansas?
Well, you know, Kansas is a elite program and always dominated the Big 12. So anytime we can get a win against Bill Self and his Kansas Jayhawks, it's always a bonus and plus for me, because in my time, I couldn't beat those guys. And to come in, you look at what Beard and the staff and the players are doing. I mean, we're doing a heck of a job of protecting our home court advantage and making it very, very tough for teams to come in and play very well and get wins.
Well, and of course, you had that Final Four run as well under Rick Barnes, and he was in town a couple of weeks ago. How nice was that? And it seemed like it was almost a homecoming. It didn't end well because he was fired and then went to Tennessee. But how cool was that he was back at Austin?
I mean, I think it's just cool, the fact that, you know, it's sport. And I think if you're in the business of sports, you're going to have to move around, and it's going to be some hard times where you have to move on both sides. And I think the things that he left behind in Austin and the friendships that he created while he was in Austin, they're still intact and they're still there. So it was a great homecoming for him to be able to see all his friends, families, and people that supported when he was there at the University of Texas. And he left it in good hands. And for him to just even take the game to come back, I'm not sure how many coaches would actually do that from a place that it didn't end well. But, you know, that was years ago. Everybody had moved on, and it was a great atmosphere, and it was a great game that allowed all of us to come down to the last shot. I'm glad it went in our favor as the Longhorns, but I thought it was a great time to see him coaching in another uniform in person for the first time, and just spending time with him. So I enjoyed it, and I look forward. I think we have to go there next year, so I look forward to being in Tennessee when Texas plays next season.
You mentioned it's part of life, whether you're in business, sports, whatever anyone does, even younger or older, that you have to move on. And you had to kind of do that throughout your NBA career, and injuries also played a big part in that. How much were you tested, TJ, during that time, and how much did it make you a better person?
Well, I just love the game of basketball, and I think for me, my ultimate goal was just trying to always be the best, or be considered the best in the world. And that's something that I dreamed of as a kid. I was able to accomplish that in college. And I never thought about being the best college player, right? I would say I skipped over that part of it and was thinking about being the best point guard ever to play in the NBA as a kid. But Injuries, teams, situations, the business of the NBA with contracts, a bunch of moving parts. I think as a professional, your job is to be professional. Your job is to show up every day and do the best you can do and compete at the highest level that you can compete at.
Baylor. I'm sorry.
So, for me, you learn a lot in that experience, though, right? I was able to live in different cities. I was able to, meet different teammates that I still have relationships with today. And, I don't think I left a city for not being known for playing, not playing hard. So I think I was respecting every city I played.
Baylor and Texas play Saturday at the Farrell Center. You know what Baylor's story with what Scott Drew has done in his 18, 19 years, and in last year's team with those great guards. How much did you get a chance to watch them play, and how impressed are you with what they've done?
I know the coaching staff over there. We send our kids to the camps there in the summertime. So when you look at the product they're putting out there, when you look at the culture he created there for Baylor basketball, I mean, it's amazing. His teams play very, very hard. His player development system is amazing. So when they take kids out of high school, they don't just throw them out there. They grind it out and get them prepared to perform and play. And when you look at, Coach Tang, when you look at Alvin Brooks, that I'm really close to those two guys, it's amazing what they're doing. And going into Baylor, it's always been a tough place to play at. And, it's going to be a packed house. It's going to be tough being on the road. But you got to give them a lot of credit. When you look at that Central Texas basketball between Baylor and Texas, it's starting to become a hotbed. And I think from a national standpoint, that I-35 is some pretty good basketball.
You mentioned Jerome Tang. He mentioned your father, Pops, who helped basically raise him as a basketball player. He also brought up that when games were being played and you were younger, if there was any kind of a dead ball timeout, you'd run onto the floor and start shooting baskets or dribbling and all that kind of stuff. How about those memories?
Oh, great memories, man. That's where it started, being able to watch my dad and his friends, Tang them play, and, just them being able to give you information and guide you as a youngster was amazing, right? And I couldn't be more thankful for having, a father, parents, and his friends for just going play basketball whenever, wherever, at any time. So that was an amazing childhood for me.
TJ, I covered the state basketball tournament when it was in Austin for many, many years, and I can remember some of the great teams back in the days of Bay City, and then obviously the Willow Ridge, the dynasty of what you guys did and how many games in a row and the state championships. How good? I mean, those teams could play. Now you see teams playing all over the country against everybody, academies, whatever else. How good, though, looking back at that Willow Ridge run, how good were those teams?
Man, it was amazing for us. We didn't have media coverage. We didn't have the video. So everything that we, was fighting for here in the state of Texas, which, we seeing the outcome of it now, of having exposure, being able to showcase that we have the best talent in the world. For us, going and play against other top, I would say prep schools, because, at that time in my era, we wasn't really, I don't think we was playing high school national guys. It was more like prep schools. But just to be able to see what that was like, we didn't have video, right? All you heard was, all you could do was hear about a team, or read an article that some evaluator wrote on that program. So for us, being able to play some of those top high school teams, for us and us being able to beat them put us on a national level. So it's amazing seeing kids. I mean, I wish those games was on TV back in the day, right?
Oh my God, yeah. Can you imagine? You would that team. You guys would have played Oak Hill. You would have played the IMGs and all that other. That would have been Mount Verde. You guys would have played right with them.
Yeah, I think we'd have beat them all.
Well, you had the long winning streak, and I want to ask you this question as well. There was a stretch in the 80s and then into the 90s, and of course then you came in towards the end of that decade. But there was a stretch when Texas high school football was the thing. Everyone always knows about that. But there was a run there when Texas started feeding college teams incredible talent. Do you feel like you were a part of that run as well?
Of course. I mean, there was some guys before us that did an amazing job. look at Rashard Lewis. I think for me, Rashard Lewis is probably one of the most guys that's not recognized as the history of Texas basketball, which he should be. I mean, watching him at Elsig as a freshman, that kid was amazing. I never seen nobody with that size that could shoot, dribble, and was super athletic. So by him being able to jump to the NBA out of high school, I mean, for me personally, you know, he gave me the belief that I could be an NBA basketball player coming from, you know, an area that was 15 minutes from where I live. So for him, he's my idol when it comes to high school talent that set the bar and allowed myself, the Daniel Ewings, and even Alton Ford, that was a year ahead of us, provided that exposure for us and gave us that belief and gave us that conversation that, you know, something's going on down there in Texas, right? Mm-hmm. So he's a guy that does not get a lot of credit, not talked about. But for me, he was the stepping stone for me personally, Rashard Lewis.
Were you old enough to remember the teams that Bay City had? I mentioned them back, I think, in the 80s. And I'm not sure how much you
I was born in 83.
Well, I just remember that's when it seemed like the surge came. And you know, obviously, Phi Slamma Jamma had their great run during that time as well. But there were Arkansas had kids from Texas everywhere. And I'll always remember that. And those state tournament, man, that venue at the time was rocking. During that time. Would be remiss if I didn't mention your academy. You mentioned sending kids to the camps at Baylor and elsewhere. How much fun has it been for you to be able to give back and be a part of that as well?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, I passed up college, NBA jobs during this time span because I just love being able to impact kids, right? I see myself in those kids having a dream, having goals, and going through the process of trying to figure it out and giving them the life skills that goes within that, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the guys are not going to reach their goal and reach their dream. So being able to keep kids focused, being able to allow them to think about being able to pivot at some point in their career, being able to build relationships through the game of basketball. So a lot of the old things that people discuss and talk with us about is missing from this generation, right? Partnerships, friendships, collaborating, all those different things that I think networking is very important for these kids. So I just believe that, you know, my experience, I just love being able to teach them because somebody taught me, and I had a lot of successful and a lot of good people that helped me when I was young, no matter what their nationality or what their race was. And I think that was important. So we want to be able to do those same things and give people my life story and implement it within theirs.
TJ, thanks, buddy. You were fantastic to watch play. Appreciate. Good luck and continued luck with the Academy. TJ Ford, National Player of the Year, Texas Final Four, NBA, and just an overall great dude based on what Jerome Tang, Alvin Brooks, and others have said, and people knew that anyway. Sikkim 365 Radio.
All right, TJ Ford, we appreciate that. Texas coming off the huge win Monday against Kansas, played Baylor on Saturday. Baylor winning last night, and, of course, Tech losing to Oklahoma. And we're now joined by another incredible guy, and LaFonso Ellis, ESPN studio analyst and former star as well, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. LaFonso, this week, thank you for your time. Number 1, number 6, number 7, 8, and 9 have all lost, and it's not even March Madness.
It's been an incredible run, and wow! I mean, for fans who may be just tuning in, they're in for a treat because though we have 7 to 8 teams that are Final Four capable and able to potentially cut down the nets in April, that many of them have big vulnerabilities, and that will make the first round of the NCAA tournament just fun to watch. It's always great to watch, but it'll be at another level this year because of that.
LaFonso, I feel like the majority of fans just wanted to fast forward to Gonzaga and Baylor, which is what we got last year in the finals, especially since we didn't get to see it in the regular season due to COVID. This year, I don't feel the national pulse is that way. I think everybody wants to see good old-fashioned chaos, don't they?
There's no question about it. And, of course, again, given the nature of the teams that we think can get to the Final Four in the national championship, they're going to get that kind of chaos. It's going to be an incredible year, especially when you look across the the country and you see the Big 12 strong, the Big 10 is strong, the SEC is strong and deep, and then the ACC, of course, has struggled. They may get at maximum 5 teams in the NCAA tournament, and they've trended around anywhere between 7 and 9. And so, some of those, the NCAA committee, they still got to field 68 teams, and some of those teams are going to come from conferences that we're not accustomed to getting 2, 3, and 4 teams into the NCAA tournament. So that's even going to make it more interesting.
So, LaFonso, Baylor's coming off of the national title, obviously. Definitely not the same makeup roster-wise. Some familiar faces, but, lost some of their alpha males for sure. Got a win last night against K-State. Your thoughts on where the Bears are? Obviously, injuries have been a big storyline for them this season.
Yeah, and that's what makes them so difficult to evaluate. I still think they're a top 10, top 12 team in the country, but, you're playing without an L.J. Cryer, who's your leading scorer. Akinjo's been banged up a bit. Flagler's been banged up a bit. And so, it's different than last year because last year was more COVID and trying to deal with that and coming back from COVID and everyone looking at them and going, wow, that's not the same Baylor team we saw pre-COVID, right? And actually, from a timing standpoint, it couldn't have been better because they had plenty of landing room on the runway, so to speak, to be able to work out all the kinks, to get their legs back underneath them, to get their cardiovascular capacity back. And then all of a sudden, they made a huge run. And as you know, Smoak, I've said this for the last couple of years, I felt they could have been back-to-back champions because I felt that it's the same team that they returned last year that played 2 years ago, and I thought had it not been for the COVID cancellation that Baylor team would have won their first one then and would have been defending it last year and would have won it a second time. And so, again, this team has been it's difficult to have chemistry when you're dealing with so many different issues, and for Baylor this year, it's been the injury bug.
LaFonso, what's it like and the difference between a team that's building with what Scott Drew has done over nearly 2 decades, and we all know the story, and they have been good for a long time, but they got to the point now where they're elite. Being someone who's fighting and scratching and clawing to get somewhere, and then all of a sudden being the one that's hunted.
Yeah, I would say Scott's been in the elite program for several years now. The national championship was the icing on the cake, and now all of a sudden he's got the trophy and the title to substantiate where they've been for the last, I've been at ESPN now for 13 years, for the last 7 to 10 years, so to speak. He was still putting several guys, they were competing, getting to the NCAA tournament, advancing in the NCAA tournament. He's putting several guys into the NBA, and now the national championship is just a validation of what's has taken place really for the last 7, 8 to 10 years. It does put you in a different scenario, but you mentioned earlier, this team is made up a little bit differently. I mean, you look at Mitchell, you look at Butler, you look at Maceo Teague, you're talking about 3 guys that could shoot 38% or better from the three-point line, 3 guys who could take you off the bounce, 3 guys who had really nice pull-up J's, 3 guys who could finish with either hand with different finishes around the rim. And, they happen to be the 3 best perimeter defenders on the floor as well. This team is made up a little bit differently. Akinjo can get his off the dribble. He can get in the lane, make plays for himself and his teammates. He can finish at the rim. You think of Flagler, you think of Cryer. Most of those guys, to me, in my mind, are more jump shooting guys. And so it's not as still a challenge to guard them, but not as challenging to guard these guys as jump shooters, where 2/3 of them are jump shooters compared to the 3 guys last year who are terrific in all 3 phases and just happen to be great defenders. In my mind, for Baylor to be a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament, my guy, one of my favorite college players is Matt Myers. Matt is playing in a different role now because now he's moved up the depth chart in terms of how we want to stop guys in terms of scouting and all of that. And I think his response has been mixed, but I think Matt's going to have to be able to give anywhere from 12 to 15 points a game, playing confident, rebounding it well, because if he can get that kind of production from the 4 spot, now all of a sudden it frees up the other 3 perimeter players for them to be a little bit more relaxed in the offensive end. But a healthy Akinjo will help, a healthy L.J. Cryer will help, and Flagler seems to be getting his legs back under him as they go. But in my mind, because of the difference between these three guards and the three guards from last year, you got to get some offensive production from the 4 spot, and that comes from a very capable Matt Meyer. We just haven't seen it with the consistency that I think we all would like to see from him, but he's certainly capable.
With Texas coming in this Saturday, this is a Texas team that's kind of gelling now a little bit more than maybe they did early in the season. What can Baylor fans expect to see, and what do you expect to see from that game on Saturday morning?
I think it's going to be a terrific game. You know, the Big 12, it's interesting because I think I looked the other day. I think the Big 12 has 5 teams in the top 50 in terms of defensive efficiency. So the Big 12, you know they're going to guard, right? Yep. And sometimes, though, because of that, there's a lack of offense on the other end. It ends up being almost like a rock fight. I think as we look back, the last 3 losses that Baylor has had, James Akinjo, if I remember correctly, didn't shoot it well from the 3-point line. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he barely made 10 points total in those 3 games. And so knowing that Texas has one of the top 10 defenses in the country, they're going to try to take James out. And so it's going to put a lot more pressure on guys like Flagler or Matt Meyer to be able to produce some offense. I think the defense is going to be a push because Jonathan Shama-Chachua does a great job off the bench. No matter who it is he's guarding out on the perimeter, he has active hands. He moves his feet well, so he doesn't allow those easy reversal passes through the 4 or 5. And so it's really going to come down to shot-making ability for Baylor. But if Texas is smart, they're going to try to take Akinjo out of the game, make him less efficient, because it's shown in the last 3 games that if you can neutralize or take Akinjo out of the game, then they don't necessarily have the requisite firepower, especially with Eldre Carrera out, to win that game. So again, Matt Meyer's going to have to be on his game for Baylor to beat Texas, even at Baylor.
LaFonso, Umoja Gibson is from here in Waco. He had a big night for the Sooners in their upset of Texas Tech. Were you surprised by that, or is that just life in the Big 12 and you're like, yeah, that's about right?
Yeah, no, I think that's life in the Big 12, and the reality is, you know, if you can play in the middle of the floor, because Texas Tech likes to keep you on the sideline and they don't let you easily reverse the basketball, so you have to play between the elbows, so to speak. And if you can play well between the elbows, meaning your flare screens, your on-ball screens, your slip screens, if you can play those between the pipes, so to speak, now you have an opportunity to be able to get offense, because again, all the teams in the Big 12 can really guard, and I thought Oklahoma did that really, really well, and that's why they were able to beat Texas Tech.
You know, it's interesting because Auburn still is really good just because they lose, or Texas Tech is really good just because they lose. Is there somebody that maybe is not getting much attention, LaFonso, that's kind of on your radar as you watch them creep up the polls?
Yeah, and it's been that way all year. It's Illinois.
Okay.
They have a Kofi Coburn who's 7 feet tall, 285 pounds, who, in my mind, is the most dominant player in all of college basketball. He's top 7 in scoring at around 22 points a game. He's 5th in the nation in rebounding, I think around 12 or so. And they complement him with terrific guard play. Alfonso Plummer, who transferred in from Utah, elite shooter. And he's kind of one of those guys that not only shoots 38, 39% from 3, but if he makes 1-2, he might run off 4 or 5 in a row. And Trent Frazier, 5th, almost 6-year senior, lefty, smaller guard, can shoot the 3, get in the lane, make plays, really good off of ball screen situations. And then, of course, the youngster in Andres Curbelo, he's the wild card on that team. Is that ball comes off the backboard, he's pushing that thing up the floor like a jet, trying to get it in the middle of the floor, trying to get to the rim. And as your defense flattens, now all of a sudden you have to deal with 1, 2, 3 guys on Illinois' team who shoot 38% or better from the 3-point line. And so that's a team that's kind of outside of the top 10 that, in my mind, is a second weekend team, and depending on matchups, and if Coburn can stay out of foul trouble, that's a team that can get to an Elite 8 or Final 4, because they have all of the pieces that we've learned with Baylor for the last 2 years. If you have elite level guard play, now you become difficult to guard, because now you can space the floor and there's gaps to be able to attack. Their 3 guards are not quite on the level defensively, and I would argue offensively as those guys, but they're a good second tier group. And in my mind, I think they're the best backcourt in the country.
LaFonso Ellis, ESPN studio analyst, men's basketball, has been with us on the show before during Baylor's run last year. I know you have a hectic schedule, a busy schedule. We appreciate your time anytime we can get it, LaFonso, and thanks for the knowledge.
Really sweet of you, Smoak. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you.
You too, man. That's LaFonso Ellis, ESPN analyst. He's been on, as you mentioned, 13 years. And you're right. What the championship last year for Baylor did was validate what they have been doing for the last 10-plus years. But you do get looked at differently when you have won the national title. If you lose in the championship game, that's great. It's a hell of a run. It's a hell of a season. But it does validate you.
Well, you get
especially when you've had a long-term amount of success.
And just ask Chris Beard. Losing at Texas Tech, they got the old good for you, guys. Yeah. Way to go. Keep your chin up kind of a thing. And then when you won, you walk through and things shimmer, but also now people expect, they expect that from you all the time. And they're a great program. Kansas hasn't won since 2008. But their fans expect them to be at that level all the time. It's really hard to do, even for the elite Kansases and North Carolinas and Dukes and Kentuckys. It's hard to win that, to win 5-6 games in a row and win the title. So when you do that, things are different and people are going to look at you different. So then when, even if it's not rational, people look at you, well, last year was so good. Well, just do the math. It's a different team, but they're still really good. Just not as good.
Well, here's the thing. One, Baylor was 15-0, and when they were, there was discussion about how elite they were because they're coming off the national title. We know what's happened since that time. The win last night gives them a 5-4 record since that time. And if you look at also the timing. Now, I think Texas and Baylor on Saturday could be one hell of a game and should be. But you have, initially Sohan is out. And then all of a sudden, Flagler. And then it's Cryer. And in between that, there's somebody else. And Akinjo lands on his butt and hurts his tailbone. And Scott Drew mentioned this in the postgame. He thinks Akinjo and Flagler are starting to just now feel better and be more fluid with what they do as they play through all of this because the schedule doesn't stop. And in the Big 12, we've said it 100 times, there is no off nights. Look what happened to Texas Tech in Norman. And Texas Tech had to play a chunk of games in about a week and a half. And so, but you know what? Everybody at some point during the conference schedule has to deal with that. Baylor will play will play Texas tomorrow. They just played Wednesday night. Texas played Monday night. And everybody will have the quick Monday turnarounds or whatever. And it's not over with. It will be continually sledgehammer throughout the rest of the way. It's 4:14. When we come back, either Bob Golick will join us from Radio Row in L.A. or we'll have something else for you. Craig's Off the Radar at 4:45. Jake Plummer joins us today in the 5 o'clock hour, as does LeGarrette Blount, 3-time Super Bowl champion, twice with New England and once with Philly. Sick on 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. Picture on their website, marcos.com, of that large pepperoni Magnifico, $9.99 if you order right now. Use the code PEPMAG, and it is really good. We've had it delivered here to our studios from the location in Belle Meade. Marco's Pizza with 4 locations in Waco. Robinson, of course, the newest one. There's one in Woodway, one in China Spring, and the one around the corner from us in Belle Meade as well. The $3 off large specialty pizzas. Use the code SPECIAL3. And unlimited medium 1-topping pizzas for $7.99 a piece. You can order extra and call it as well an encore and also call online. Unlimited large 2-topping pizzas, $8.99 each. Perfect for a little get-together, a slumber party, or just someone who's over as you watch the Super Bowl. On Sunday, of course, it was recently Pizza Day around the country, and Marco's Pizza with over 1,000 locations around the country for you to go. Online, marcos.com, or in Waco. In Belle Meade, Woodway, China Spring, and Robinson, Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And I
Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
All right, we're back. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. We will hear from Jake Plummer and also LeGarrette Blount in the 5 o'clock hour from L.A. and Radio Row, and now joined by former NFL lineman and veteran Bob Golick joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Bob, you've been a part of that. You've been a part of radio. You've been a part of Radio Row. Does it ever change, in your opinion, even with maybe not quite as many stations this year?
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, we're in a much bigger venue, and so it seems like there's a lot of people here, but every day it picks up a little bit more. And so it's going pretty well, but it's the same thing. You say the same thing every flipping time. So, but the teams change, obviously.
Bob, your thoughts on the Bengals and Rams? Two teams with very different stories. The Bengals, an upstart young team, and the Rams mortgage their future to get there. So there's no right way to do it as long as or one way to do it as long as you get there. But what do you think about the game?
You find out if it's the right way to do it after the game is over, and you realize if you're holding the trophy or not. I look at this team, and at first I'm thinking, I'm from Ohio. I'm gonna go for the Bengals. Then I realized, crap, they beat the hell out of me for like a bunch of years. So I'm not, playing in the same division with them. I'm gonna cheer for them. Bottom line, I think, is this: you've got Joe Burrow is a great young quarterback. You've got Chase at wide receiver. I think I think that one of the most important people out there is going to be Mixon at running back, because the Rams have such an amazing front, and their pass rushing going crazy. Plus, we saw against the Titans, we saw Burrow get sacked 9 times. So they're going to have to establish some kind of running game. And Mixon's the guy; he can do it. But that defense certainly can stop him. So I think that's going to be the thing to watch to see which way it's going to go.
Bob, as a fellow defensive lineman, what are your thoughts on just watching the career of Aaron Donald? Obviously a big deal that he's getting to play in this game, but just a phenomenal player. But as somebody who played the game, what is it like watching him on a weekly basis?
Well, I love watching the guy. In fact, my son said, he's built like you, because I was 6'3", about 275, 285 at the time. And now you've got a lot of bigger guys, but you've got, Darnold you've got Donald, which is, he's not one of the big giant guys, but they put him on the edge. They put him in gaps, and he's so good and so quick at pass rushing. It's amazing to watch. Back in our day, I was more of a 2-gap nose tackle, line up on the center and shut your mouth. Yeah. and if a quarterback happens to try to run, you should be there for him to trip over you. But he's obviously got amazing talent and quickness. And it's really fun to watch, and it's cool to watch because a lot of times you're getting defensive ends. You watch guys like I'm in Cleveland now, so you see Myles Garrett, and you see Clowney out there with the Browns too. But so to watch the inside guy being so dominant, it's a good feeling. And you also can sit there and dream about having been paid the same as him, but it's never going to happen, obviously.
Bob, you mentioned the Browns. You played for them, the Raiders, the Patriots as well. They kind of took a step back this year. There are a lot of high hopes. They've been making that push. Now the Bengals are in the Super Bowl. How frustrating is that for the city of Cleveland?
It's bad because where the fan base is on the edge. We feel like they've built and things are going to be better. And then when it doesn't, it's easy to snap back into pretty much every year since 1999 when the team came back. So people they don't have the patience to sit back and say, this is our future. Right now, they're trying to figure out what do they do with Baker Mayfield. I think he happens to be a really good quarterback. But he's coming up to the point where you're going to have to give him the big money contract if you're going to keep him around. And I think, right now we've got a lot of people trying to figure out which way to do that. Fans are trying to think, do we keep him, do we not? But my belief is if we get rid of him, we go back into the old ways. Since 1999, the Browns have had like 28 different starting quarterbacks. Now, that's like a record, I believe. So hopefully we don't go back into that. And last year, the disappointment, I think, came when we started getting injuries to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, our running game. So, like I said, the running game is really important, has been important for the Browns, and certainly is going to be important for the Bengals on Sunday.
Bob, you're also a proud alum of the Fighting Irish at Notre Dame and won a national championship there in '77. They won another one 11 years later, but have not won since. Mm-hmm. And Brian Kelly absconded and went to Baton Rouge to eat gumbo and coach the Tigers. But Marcus Freeman, the new head coach at Notre Dame, your thoughts on a young, energetic guy who was going to be a head coach soon somewhere, and Notre Dame made sure it was there.
I'm a guy that likes energy in my coaches. I played in Cleveland. I played under Marty Schottenheimer, and Marty was just a emotional guy who cried when we lost and cried when we won, and so he was good to be around. I don't know that we're going to see a lot of crying, but Kelly was more of a straightforward, straight-faced guy. Seemed more like a Belichick than anybody else. Just keeping it calm on the sidelines. And I think having a young guy that knows the system and the players know him, I think it's going to be a positive.
Bob, do you think Los Angeles is warming up more as an NFL city given the Rams' success? I mean, you've had experience playing there. Teams have come and gone, but is LA starting to become more of a football town? For the Rams. I mean, Ram fans obviously are going to get excited, but I still think it's, when we were here with the Los Angeles Raiders, it seemed more like it's a transient town. A lot of people from other places. We played the Steelers, and we'd have half the stadium would be Raider fans, half would be Steeler fans. Same, with any other team pretty much that came through, and so we had to accept that, and I think it just became the nature of the beast. I think it's probably going to maintain, even if the Rams win, I think you're going to still have other people. They'll pick up some fans, some of the people, Johnny-come-latelys and people wanting to say, oh, he supported the Rams. But I think you're still going to have a lot of different people from a lot of different places having a lot of different opinions.
Mike, we've got questions, I'm sure, in our chat room from it, but of course, Craig and I are both, Bob, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Mike Rogers. That's what I was about to ask you a question about it, because Craig and I are both children of the 90s. So to you, you're not only a former NFL great, you're also a Saved by the Bell cast member, which to our generation was how we grew up. What's it like being a part of what has become such a cultural phenomenon?
It was amazing. I mean, we only did 1 year. The college years only did 1 year, and that was sad because I didn't get paid anymore. But it was to meet those kids, the ones that I mean, I'd watched some of the earlier ones too. You know, when I didn't grow up on them, but they were always in reruns. And but I got a chance to meet guys like Mark Paul, like Mario Lopez. Absolutely a great guy. Tiffany Amber Thiessen, or Tiffany Thiessen now, just great people. Screech at the time, rest in peace, was 16 years old and a bit obnoxious. So he was always knocking on my dressing room door, going, "Bob, come on, I got a new video game." And I'd be like really quiet. And if anybody was in there, I'd go, "Shh, don't make a noise." But it was a great experience. It was, I mean, I hate to minimize it, but it was like the easiest thing I've ever done. I mean, people call it acting. My character was an ex-NFL player, and so yeah, I didn't have to stretch very far.
You have been involved,
but it feels good, and I didn't get called about the next streaming variation, the one that's on now. So
yet, Bob, yet.
That's right. I've already told them too. I said all we have to do is one day they're out by the football field, and here comes Mike Rogers on the riding mower, cutting the grass, and that's how I get back into it. They haven't fell for that yet, but I'm going to continue trying.
Yeah. That it? All right. Hey, Bob, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Thanks for your time on Radio Row. Are you there representing any sponsor? We weren't giving anything up in front, but if you are, let us know.
We are working with Sierra Delta.
Oh, yeah.
And it is, they're fantastic. I've been supplying dogs both in training for special needs for the guys who need help. And, now we're talking about what they're calling life buddies. Guys come back and they feel lonely. They feel disconnected. And these dogs that they bring in, they train at different levels, are just those buddies that they can lean on.
So we'll tell BJ Gannon we said hello.
BJ's one of our favorite guys ever. Yeah,
he's amazing. You know what? I usually talk so much, and I've been walking around with him doing these interviews, and he is a guy that I just sit there and I watch. I mean, I just sit there and listen to the guy. It's fascinating, and obviously it comes from a very important place in his heart.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it so much. Bob Golick, former Raiders, Patriots, Browns defensive lineman, again, actor, and he helped. I saw his Twitter feed, and he mentioned something about managing director of the new American Patriot League. And I haven't heard much about that. That's why I was asking if he was there representing them as well. But obviously, Sierra Delta, which we've been a part of many, many times the years we've been on Radio Row.
I actually think his cameo idea is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't watch that relaunch show. But
I would if he was going to be on it.
Yeah, I would watch that. At least watch that episode of that scene for sure. That's actually would be a brilliant way to loop him back in. And yeah, it was only on the air for a year, but I don't know. It made more of at least for like my age group. I was that age group, and so yeah, I remember vividly watching that show. And it doesn't seem like it was just a season, but it was. Yeah, it was just that one season.
That's pretty cool.
And then I guess he showed up in the wedding that they did.
Yeah, the wedding special.
The wedding special.
Kelly and Zach finally tied the knot.
Yeah.
Wow. But that was cool to talk to him, and he was really good on that show. Like he said, he didn't have to act too much. He was a former NFL guy, and that's what he played. But cool to talk to him and get his thoughts from Radio Row.
Bob Golick, his brother Mike, was on ESPN forever.
And there's a note for you.
Podcast, yeah.
Mike Golick, we know is no longer from ESPN, and I didn't know I was gonna put this in off the radar or not, but Mike Golick Jr. now out at ESPN as well.
And that was all of a sudden just like the next day he was gone. So you wonder what that was for. He put out a few tweets on that, and he was very disappointed and also but thankful for the opportunities to be a part of that as well.
I would not be surprised to see him wind up with Dan Le Batard's new company.
Yeah, and that's another one. So there's just so many moving parts. I had somebody earlier this week was talking about broadcast and shows and whatever, and we, of course, are online and the app, and then, of course, our YouTube channel, which has been so incredible in the journey with that we appreciate those of you who are watching and listening with that as well. And, there's so many that used to be in pure radio, and it's great to be in pure radio, but At the same time, with technology the way it is, it's not even something you have to be in. That doesn't mean it's not good to be there. But the Mike Golick Jr., you're right. And then maybe you do develop eventually a network, and that's great if you can do that as well. His wife was a former ballerina, a Raiderette. Bob Golick's wife also performed the Nutcracker in the Akron Civic Theater back in 2006. When we come back, a couple of notes in sports going on today. Also at 4:45, Craig's Off the Radar. And then Jake Plummer and LeGarrette Blunt from Radio Row in LA, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Went by a couple of days ago and saw our good friends at Don Shumidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Carol was there. Went by and picked up a box of cigars, Ashton cigars, Churchill length, and my goodness, they're one of the best you could ever smoke if in fact you do, and or buy for somebody as a gift. Along with the coffee beans they have, the different array and aromas and flavors, including one of the most popular, which is called the Cowboy, which in Texas, of course, that seems to make sense. And then on top of that, they have the gummy bears, Vita Dreams, and that allows you to fall asleep a little bit easier and save 30, 45 minutes to an hour of sleep. I'll just ask you this. When you wake up in the morning, your alarm goes off. Would you like to have another 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour of sleep? Sometimes you lose that on the front end because you toss and turn. It's part of what happens, whether there's stress in your life or a lot of things to do, and the next day is going to have a lot to do. It's part of what Vita Dreams can help you get that extra sleep and get that extra rest for your body. It's Don Shumidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Flagler the kick. 2 to shoot. Got to put it up. And it goes for Baylor.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We'll have Craig's off the radar here momentarily. 5 o'clock hour, former Arizona State star, legend, Jake Plummer, who also played, of course, in the NFL. He'll join us in the 5 o'clock hour. And LeGarrette Blount, who had some adversity in his life, played junior college in Mississippi, then went to Oregon. Of course, he had that moment against Boise State when he punched a player and was suspended. And then he ended up winning 3 Super Bowl rings and was more of a factor on the third one because of the Philadelphia run to the Super Bowl to beat his former team in New England, where he won a couple of rings under Belichick, of course, with Tom Brady at quarterback.
He was also the running back on the Deflategate day.
No, you're right. Absolutely, yeah.
Which is why I thought it was so weird that became such a controversy, because Tom Brady didn't really throw any touchdown passes that day. LeGarrette Blount ran all over the Colts, and they didn't need him to.
He was a banger. He's a banger and a good dude. He's he's not, and I even asked him about the adversity he faced at times throughout not only his career but his life as well. I'm not sure if you have seen this, and Craig's off the radar, and I hope I'm not going to steal this from you. Craig, have you heard about the disappearance of Dylan the Pickle?
No.
Okay, good. Well, I didn't either, and all of a sudden it just popped up on my timeline. So there's this Portland-based summer baseball team that has a mascot, and the mascot's called Dylan the Pickle.
Pickles are big in Portland. People pickle things. Seriously. It's like artisanal pickles.
Well, this is an actual pickle. I don't know if it's a dill pickle
I'm
or
sure
a sweet pickle.
His name's Dylan the Pickle. I'm sure it's a dill pickle.
So, there you go. That's why you have that degree that you have compared to mine. So they were on a trip to the Caribbean, and they had the luggage with Dylan the Pickle. The mascot was in the luggage, and there's video of someone's front porch of somebody walking up and stealing the luggage, and Dylan the Pickle is now, there's a search for him.
Yeah, I've seen the video of Dylan the Pickle being stolen. It's kind of weird. They have people they call porch pirates because if people get so many deliveries now, they just drive around and look for people to have. Like today, if they'd done it at my house, they would have gotten air conditioning filters.
By the way, anybody that does that, you are scum of the earth.
Yeah.
Go get a job and buy your own stuff. Go stealing people's stuff off their porches. That is so low. That's so low.
More than ever before, things are now left because of Amazon and whatever else, right? UPS and others. So Parker Huffman, who's the team's assistant general manager, said that, he got through customs, Dylan did, and that's the last we saw of him. And they've talked about, hey, listen, sometimes we joke about things, the Dylan the Pickle, the Portland Pickles, but this is serious. We've lost our mascot, Dylan the Pickle. Any kind of information leads to the arrest and indictment.
I wonder if that guy knew what he was doing or just stealing randomly.
He said it's a pretty big, wasn't it?
It's
pretty
huge.
Like almost a duffel bag?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
So he probably was like, awesome, I got a lot of stuff. Oh, it's a mascot costume.
Yeah. I'd love to film that reaction of the disappointment on that person's face. But
well, good for him because he's whoever.
I don't know, maybe it worked. Maybe they're a furry or something. Maybe it worked out.
From the Portland Pickles Twitter account, Pickles Baseball. Please help us. Dylan got lost in his flight back from the Dominican Republic. His phone is going straight to voicemail at Delta. So that's just kind of...
Well, and the Delta delivered the lost luggage, and then it was in the middle of the night,
and the guy stole it in the middle of the night. Yeah. So Dylan the Pickle, I haven't even updated. I should have probably. Here's the latest story. Pickles are needing your help finding their stolen mascot. The curious case of Dylan the Pickle gets even curiouser.
I don't know. It seems like a lot of work for a costume that looks like it costs about $15. I think they could probably just replace this rather easily, but maybe there's some sentimental value there.
Well, there's now a reward thread for all the amazing prizes.
Wouldn't you have it insured?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I don't know how that works. No.
When we come back, Craig Smoak's Off the Radar, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
BetUS.com, it's Super Bowl week, and if you want to get involved, bet on the Super Bowl, go to BetUS.com, use our promo codes SICK'em125 and SICK'em200, 125% bonus on cash, 200% on crypto, just $50 will get you started, get you that bonus on BetUS.com. They've got everything, daily lines, prop bets, things like, how long will the national anthem last? That will be on the site at BetUS.com. So if you want to bet on the Super Bowl, whether it's fun stuff or actual game stuff, they've got it at BetUS.com and use our promo codes SICK'em125 and SICK'em200.
Players qualified buyers 2.9% with $5,000 down cash for a trade. TT and Electra, see dealer for details.
The New Year, New Ride sales event continues at Richard Carr. Find pre-owned deals like a 2015 GMC Acadia or a 2016 Honda Accord for $227 a month, or get a 2019 Ram Tradesman truck for $333 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection. Get top dollar for your trade, and 100% approval is always the goal. Find your next car or truck today at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Brad Boozer Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. This is it. This is when you're going to sell something in May. You have Mother's Day. You have Easter. You have things that go on, weddings. But this is a great time for your business.
Exactly. And one other thing we do that a lot of people don't know is we buy jewelry, heirloom pieces, gold, silver bars, gold bullion, watches, anything you may have that you want to. If you don't want to use it and remake something like I did an estate yesterday, and I looked at 35 pieces, well, they're probably going to sell me back 30 because it's something they're not going to wear, nothing to use. So if you're looking to get a few bucks or to sell something or something you just don't wear anymore, I make my wife go through her jewelry box about every 6 to 8 months, and the things that she doesn't wear on a daily basis, this sounds horrible, but I take away from her, and then I'll put in my estate counter, but then that gives me the chance to rebuy her something new moving forward. Instead of looking down 20 years down the road and you have 300 pieces of jewelry, it's something to refresh and make her buy something new along the way.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Sports bettors, it is that fantastic time of year. The NFL playoffs, the Super Bowl, college basketball, the NBA, all of that coming up right now, and with great action at BetUS.com, the 3-decade leader. And right now, for just $50, you can get in with our promo codes, SICK'em125 for 125% bonus on cash, or SICK'em200, that's a 200% bonus on crypto. So go to BetUS.com today. $50 gets you 125% bonus on cash or 200% on crypto with our promo codes, SICK'em125 and SICK'em200. That's at BetUS.com.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com.
U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome into Off the Radar here on Sikkim 365 Radio. Taking a look at some stories outside our normal discussions, although some may have some crossover. As a matter of fact, where I'm going to start, we kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but the SEC announcing $778.8 million in total revenue divided among the league's 14 universities for the 2020-21 fiscal year. According to Bruce Feldman, the amount distributed from the conference office, excluding bowl expenses retained by participants, averaged about $54.6 million per school. So each of the 14 SEC teams getting $54.6 million, up $9 million from last year. And that's a big gob of money for each school. And as I've already seen, some people saying just wait until Oklahoma and Texas join up. I don't know what to expect as far as how high that will jump up once they get into the league. I don't know if you're talking like 70 million all of a sudden. I don't know that those two add like another 20 per school. I don't think that's going to be the case, but they'll definitely add something to the mix. And so the SEC and the Big Ten's got their new TV contract coming up. They're going to make billions of dollars as well, and it just leads me to think of how far is it going to get stretched, where you have the SEC that's so far out in front and the Big Ten's right there as close as anybody else can be to them at least, and we'll see what their new TV contract looks like here pretty soon. But for the other leagues, the other three Power Fives, and then certainly for those who are not in the Power Five, I mean, the gap is widening, guys. The gap is not getting any closer, and I don't know how you change that, because if the SEC was already out front and then they can go and just pluck away Texas and Oklahoma, who are the two big cash cows in the Big 12, I don't know what their future plans are. They don't really need to make any more moves anytime soon, but I am curious to know how far the gap gets and what does that do to the playing field, so to speak. I mean, if you got schools that are making, a few years from now, $85 million per school, and then the teams that they're playing and competing for national championships against are making like 20. I mean,
no, it's like
that's worse than Major League Baseball imbalance. Like Major League Baseball has more balance than that, and so.
And they have a competitive balance tax, so they've figured out a way to do it so that occasionally a team like the Royals can pop up and win it.
The Rays.
The Rays knock on the door because of the competitive balance tax and what goes back into the other teams. College football's never going to give a competitive balance tax. Their competitive balance tax is that 14 of them can agree to share that money. That's the competitive balance, that Vanderbilt gets the same as Alabama. That's it. That's the only competitive balance that they've agreed to. So the NFL has a salary cap. The NBA has somewhat of a salary cap, although I have no idea how it works, and it doesn't seem that there's rules that prevent anybody from doing anything that they really want to do.
Well, the NFL basically doesn't either, eventually.
But in college sports, there's not a salary cap. There's not an earnings cap. And like you said, Craig, there's no way. How do you walk it back? Like, how do you tell the most powerful schools? Because the Big Ten will be close to the SEC. Believe you me, that's going to happen. The ACC will be kind of close. The Big 12 will be kind of close, but it's not going to be.
It's going to be,
but it's going to be
twice as much. Yeah, if not already.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to have double, if not triple, the amount, and I don't know where that places the others. I mean, ultimately, you just got to play football and win games, and do what you can. But it's starting to become such an imbalance that I know it's something that SEC fans are probably like, yeah, go SEC, whatever, and that's all well and good, but like you get to the point where maybe there should just be a break off of a league because it's so not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to see that, but I don't want to see, like, I don't want to see the SEC break off and do its own thing, or any league do that for that matter. But, like, it gets to the point where it's almost so lopsided that you kind of wonder, like, what's the point? You know what I'm saying?
Will it be as exciting to win a national championship with a separate league, like 35 or 40 schools, as it is right now to win it the way it is?
I don't know. I'm sure teams that are going to be involved would say yes. I'm sure
Yeah,
those
it's even
who are
harder. Yeah,
the ones that are in the country club would say yes because they're a part of that group. The ones on the outside would say no. But I don't know. I don't have an exact point here. I'm just saying, like, you see these figures just drifting further and further apart, and it's to the point now where it's so unbalanced.
Which is what they want. Which is what
they want,
yeah.
but which is not what any other league in the world really does. And so we'll see what it ultimately does to the college football landscape in the years moving forward. But man, these last couple of years they have done a number on college football, that's for sure. All right, speaking of the SEC, nothing really new to report, and you kind of mentioned it in passing earlier, but Brian Harsin was in front of reporters very briefly today. He was at SEC headquarters in Birmingham. They're having their annual league coaches meetings, and as he was exiting the building, there was a reporter, Lyndon Blake, who asked Brian Harsin as he left the meeting if he was planning to coach at Auburn next season, and he just did not give any answer. Of course, this comes fresh off the heels of Monday's report that Auburn was judiciously collecting information about his tenure there at Auburn. He went 6-7. They lost 5 straight to close out the year. They've had 19 transfers leave the program. 4 assistant coaches have changed over, and they're not recruiting very well. So it's all just adding up to one big inevitability, basically. And I guess Auburn's just trying to figure out how to best execute it because there's no way he's the head coach next year, right? I mean, there's just no way, right?
Yeah, it would be hard. Pete Thamel updating that with Chris Lowe. Brian Harsin met with officials running the Auburn inquiry on Wednesday upon returning from vacation. Considered generally benign, no clarity of next steps. And then, of course, today was the SEC coaches.
Yeah, and so there was no step taken because he didn't answer the question that was asked. So, yeah, it's all just still very much up in the air, and we will see what happens with Brian Harsin and Auburn. But it's very dysfunctional, to say the least, and they need to find some peace here pretty soon down in Auburn, Alabama. So that's still going on.
How do you go to this season?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, how do you do it? Like, if you can't,
how do you recruit?
If you can't find a way to fire him the way you want to fire him, do you just have to eat $20 more million and go to it?
That's nothing. They will write it. There'll be 5 or 8 or 2 or 1 guy writes a check.
I was just talking about. They just brought in $54 million, so that'll go to, I'm sure, some of this buyout. And I don't know for sure if not. I think there was money as well from the aid that was given by the conference of like $23 million that I don't think was included in that figure. So you're really looking at like 77, closer to $80 million. But yeah, if you're Auburn, it's a good chunk of that's probably going to end up going to paying the rest of Brian Harsin's contract. Because again, you just go into spring ball here in a few weeks and just everything's normal. Like, yeah, he's the guy. I don't know. I don't see how that's going to work.
And part of the problem is that he's lost a bunch of players. The players don't really know. I'm sure the ones that stayed have some loyalty to him, but even still, if you're there and you're a player, you're like, well, why should I not also go in the transfer portal, Brian Harsin or no? Because the university's not giving you any clarity.
There's a video of him coming out of the meetings, walking out, and there are so many media and cameras and all that in front of him that he walks by the original car in which he was getting a ride because he couldn't get to it. Not that he went that way. He was blocked out by the cameras. Man, that's and it almost seems like this is really dirty. Like, not almost, this is really, really dirty. And if he's done something, he'll pay for it, but God, this is dirty.
Yeah, I mean, if he did something to warrant being fired, then okay, that's fine. If he didn't, and this is all just to get out of his contract and to move on, and yeah, it's all pretty dirty, the dirtier side of college athletics, and it just makes me wonder, like, how did you misfire this badly on that hire? You know what I mean? Like, it's been a year. It's been what, a year? About a year?
Yeah.
So, anyways, Brian Harsin, a big no comment, or not even a comment at SEC Media Days today as that continues on. The NFL, it's Super Bowl week, so they got a lot of different announcements going on, and one of those announcements made yesterday was that Munich will stage the first ever regular season game in Germany. Frankfurt will also host future games as well. There will be 4 games split between the two cities over 4 years. Munich will be the first ever regular season game in Germany. It'll take place next season, the 2022 season. FC Bayern Munich Stadium, home of Bundesliga champions, was selected as the venue for 2 of the 4 international games to be played in Germany over the next 4 years. Frankfurt Stadium will host the other 2. So, yeah, Munich and Frankfurt will be a part of the international schedule that the NFL will have. They'll also have a game in Mexico next year. They'll also have 3 games in the UK next year. 2 of those will be at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and the Jaguars home away from home, Jaguars home away from home at Wembley Stadium. So they'll announce the home teams in the coming weeks. But, man, they're getting close to like a quarter of the schedule not even being in the United States at this point with all these international games. But growing the game is what the NFL is trying to do.
Making money.
I wonder how much the German fans like it. The English fans the Brits seem to have taken to it.
Yeah. You know, it's popular in Japan. The Cowboys played over there. But was that a preseason game?
Yeah, I know.
Mexico City.
I met at the Super Bowl in Atlanta, former Florida State and Indianapolis Colts defensive end Bjorn Werner, who kind of covers the NFL in Germany now, and so it's big. I mean, there's always people they send to. I've been at media days and somebody's there from a German TV station.
I think they did pretty well in Germany. They had, they had the Rhine Fire there back in the World League days, and I want to say Frankfurt Galaxy was also there, and then I think it was like maybe the Berlin Thunder or something like that. So yeah, they've had some teams over the years and been heavily involved in the different European tries the NFL has made over the last couple of decades. So now they're going to get some regular season football games. We'll see what those matchups are here pretty soon. You mentioned the NBA draft deadline earlier with the James Harden move, just going back over that. Sixers and Nets making a big deal today. James Harden goes from the Nets to the Philadelphia 76ers as part of a 5-player deal. The big name going to Brooklyn in return is Ben Simmons, who's not been on a basketball court in a while, had all of his issues with Philadelphia, was still sulking over comments made about his playoff performance or lack thereof from his teammates and not being vouched enough for by his coaches. And so basically he had hurt feelings. So he will take his hurt feelings to Brooklyn, join up with KD and company. They still got a very strong roster there with the Nets. Steve Nash is head coach. But yeah, James Harden along with Paul Millsap to Philadelphia, Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks, 1 in 22 and 1 in 27, all going to the Brooklyn Nets. So after a lot of speculation, James Harden is a Sixer, and Ben Simmons will maybe play basketball again.
Well, and he has a history with Daryl Morey, who's the GM there when they were both in Houston.
That is the big thing to this whole deal is the Morey connection.
And Patty Mills, I think, is a somewhat of a big brother figure to Ben Simmons. I saw that, read it on NBA, a story about the NBA, so there might be. Is that where Patty Mills is playing? Former Spurs? I'm not sure. I just saw that pop up, so there might be a connection.
Look, I'll tell you what. One thing, fun fact about Patty Mills: great sports bar he owns called the Rue Pub in San Antonio. Fantastic food. It's great. If you're ever down there, go to it.
And yes, Patty Mills plays for the Nets.
Yep,
so yeah,
there you go.
That's who he's talking about. Elsewhere, you had a couple of other moves in the NBA today, one involving the Mavericks. Kristaps Porzingis, the Luka and Kristaps era was very short-lived and never materialized into what Mavericks fans had hoped so optimistically for. But Mark Stein announcing that the Mavs trading Porzingis to the Washington Wizards. And the Mavs will get Spencer Dinwiddie, Davis Bertans. Washington gets Kristaps Porzingis and a future second-round pick. There's been some other guys on the move today. Aaron Holiday headed to the Phoenix Suns from the Washington Wizards. Montrezl Harrell goes from the Wizards to the Charlotte Hornets, and there's been a lot of moves like that. But the big headliner is, of course, James Harden heading out of Brooklyn and going to Philadelphia. And here in Texas, definitely Kristaps Porzingis on the move after that failed experiment. So very busy for NBA reporters out there today, no doubt about that. Elsewhere, ESPN Plus announced that their subscriptions have increased to 21.3 million. That's up 76% from last year. So a 76% gain. Disney reports signed 21.3 million ESPN Plus subs as of January 1st, a 76% hike versus a year ago. They had 12.1 million paying customers a year ago at this time. So domestic Disney subs now at 42.9 million. That's a growth of nearly 20%. And the Disney Plus model, I think I would be curious to know how many are like solely ESPN Plus subscribers and bundle subscribers, and you know what I mean, because I don't think that many people signed up exclusively for ESPN Plus. I'm just not buying.
Well, the bundle's the best deal.
Yes,
so
of course
even,
it is.
Even if you were only going to use 2 of the 3 of them, I mean, it makes the most sense to get the bundle. So they can do that. The bundle is clearly inflating the numbers, but maybe it'll be good news. I see people. I saw a tweet last night, somebody complaining about how the broadcast networks didn't want either of the Baylor games, and I think people don't need to take it that way. The broadcast networks are trying to trick you into signing up for it. If they just put the crap games on the on the streaming service, nobody's going to go. So that's why they're doing it.
I refused for the longest of time. It's not because of ESPN, not because of any other reason. I just like, God, man, come on. And then, I actually, like, for example, the voice of Baylor, John Morris, Jim Haller do some games on ESPN Plus, and for games that are in the Waco area. There are some that are not good. Like, I don't want to hear the Longhorn Network broadcasters doing a game that includes somebody else's team. It's not quite the same quality, and I'm not taking a shot at them. It's just they can get better, but I hooked into it and watched both games last night.
ESPN Plus is fine for what it depends on what level of sports fan you are. If you're going to get like the real nitty gritty, it's perfect because there are random games that you're probably like many mainstream, just average viewers are not going to care about whatsoever. But if you're diehard or you're better or whatever, then yeah, it's a smorgasbord. But like I mentioned, I wonder how much of this had to do with the bundle. You've got the Hulu Live, you got Disney Plus, all of that. Well, if you look at the numbers, in November 2019, they had launched in April of 2018. A few months later in September, they had 1 million subscribers. So a few months after launch, 1 million. Then February 2019, they had 2. November 2019, they were up to 3.5. November 2019, though, is when the Disney, Hulu, all that bundle came across, and they went from 3.5 to 7.6. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say that that played a big role, and now all the way up to the numbers that I mentioned, 21.3 million subscribers for ESPN+. So just thought that was a little bit of interest, especially with streaming now looking like it's going to become an even bigger and bigger part of sports moving forward. UFC, we haven't talked about that in a while. Big event coming up this weekend down in Houston at the Toyota Center. Israel Adesanya, the second highest paid fighter in the company behind Conor McGregor, and a hell of a champion, a hell of a fighter. He's going to be going at it in the main event in a rematch against Robert Whittaker. He won the first fight. I would expect he'll win this one as well. Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa in a big slugfest will be the semi-main event, a heavyweight bout. So that'll be coming up this Saturday in Houston for the fight fans out there. And Beijing Olympics update. I asked you guys yesterday how much you were watching. Did you just react because I said Beijing?
No.
Okay.
I was taking a deep breath. I've had this cough. God.
But you do, like, you've done that.
No,
so like when we bring up something that
breath.
I know, I was just making sure because like let's not get
The Olympics are going on. It's in Beijing, China, and it's popular for a lot of people. I haven't watched
not that many.
Yeah.
Yes.
Based on what Craig's probably about to say.
Well, I'm not even going to cite the TV ratings necessarily. I was just going to really update what was going on. Right now, Austria leads the medal race. 4 golds, 5 silver, 4 bronze. That gives them 13 overall as of right now. Norway now in second with 12 medals. Canada also in second with 12 medals. You've got Russia that's not really Russia, but it's Russia. They're fourth as they also plan a war simultaneously. They've got 11, and then the USA right there, one behind at 10, 4 golds, 5 silver, and a bronze, and a couple of those golds coming yesterday. Big performances from Nathan Chen, as he had Twitter a buzz, and Chloe Kim as well. Both of them taking home golds to help out Team USA, who, again, is in 5th place right now.
You want to know why I know that? Not because I watched it, because I know the times are also a little bit screwed up. Jennifer Smoak sent me a text earlier today. Did you know that Nathan Chen won the free skate, figure skating, to Elton John's music?
The
music alone was going to be a difference maker.
By the way, if you want a shortcut into winning the medal count at the Winter Olympics, be a country with lots of snowy mountains.
Yeah. That certainly helps. There are a lot of countries we don't talk about in the Summer Olympics that are doing well in the Winter Olympics. Yeah.
But the snowy mountain countries, look, I'll make you, if you want to make some bets on it, I'm betting all my money on countries with snowy mountains.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good bet for the Winter Olympics.
Norway won it the last time, I guess. 2018. Yeah, the Norway, you're right. Okay.
If you have fjords, I'm betting on you.
Yeah.
And finally, ESPN and Walt Disney have announced they've expanded the agreement with Peyton Manning and his production company, Omaha Productions. They are the group behind, of course, the Manning cast on Monday Night Football with both Peyton and Eli. The extension means that they will add a 4th year for Monday Night Football with Peyton and Eli. It will feature a 10-game annual slate of alternate productions to the traditional broadcast that will take them through the 2024 year. Now, here's where I've seen people, and I don't get too caught up in like broadcaster news, right? Like I mean, I think it's sometimes of interest if a certain person's calling a game or whatever, but in terms of really a lot of the scuttlebutt I saw, people enjoy the Mannings, but it's like anything else in this country or ESPN or whatever. You get a little something good, and what do? You abuse the heck out of it, and you squeeze it for every drop that you can possibly get out of it. You can't just let it be and be the cool thing that it is and the unique thing that it is, and you have to get your hands on it and make it bigger and expand it and do all of that. So that's what ESPN's doing with the Manning cast, as they have agreed to the extension with the brothers, but the agreement also calls for alternative presentations, as I mentioned, for UFC, college football, and golf with different hosts to be produced by Omaha Productions in collab with ESPN. For all those sports, there will be multiple events per year showing alternative viewing options. And they've kind of done this with college football. You know, the national championship, like Jimbo and staff were doing that this year, and they've done the round table of coaches there before. But for golf and UFC, select events will be included annually, and they'll name hosts at a later date. But I don't know if I'm into like
it's going to be overmodulation.
The McGregor cast doing UFC, and although that would be entertaining at least initially, and then would get tiresome really quick probably. But and then let's do the A-Rod cast for baseball, and I don't know. Let's see how it goes, but just let some things be what they are. We don't have to make everything a universe
it's
or
like
everything.
Any new leagues end up expanding too fast.
Well, it's just like not everything has to cover everything.
Yeah.
Like sometimes let's just do this for football. Doesn't mean we have to do it for baseball and basketball and UFC and for hockey and I don't know. But we'll see how successful. Maybe it's highly successful because certainly the Manning cast was. But there are a few things that are off the radar.
All right. Thank you, Craig. By the way, Paul and Craig and our audience, I had this note as far as the Winter Olympics. The all-time most medals ever won from 1924 to the last Winter Olympics, Norway. The United States was second, Germany third, Soviet Union, which, of course, is been broken into other things as well at times, 194. Canada, Austria, Sweden, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Finland, which in the Winter Olympics, some of them are still successful, but not many of them at all.
And I know Paul Olympics. Thought I was going to go a certain direction with the Olympics talk. I am just going to update the medal counts mostly when we talk about it, because I'm not watching as much as I did once, and apparently a lot of other people aren't, which I know is what you were referring to. The ratings are not good, about 40% fewer viewers than just 4 years ago. I'm sure execs will say some of that's, bundles and cable cord cutting and all of that, but no, that's still a 40% drop from 4 years ago. And people who watch the Olympics are typically going to watch the Olympics, regardless of whether cable streaming or whatever. But yeah, 40% drop, an average of about 12.3 per day on the NBC Universal basic cable and streaming channels as well. So, not great.
No, it's not. And lots and bunches of billions or millions of dollars, of course, tied into advertising. And sometimes they have to make up for the loss of viewership with other commercials down the road as part of anything in media. When we come back, Jake Plummer. He was a part of a team in 1996 that took down two-time defending national champion Nebraska. Arizona State shut out the Huskers in Tempe, and then, of course, went on to have a hell of a senior year, Jake the Snake Plummer, and on top of that, an NFL career that was pretty good.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that for your sake.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate that, but I was going to bring it up because it's part of his career.
Yeah.
So that's next.
You'll be surprised at how little football we actually get to talk about because of Jake.
Plus,
you'll hear the first thing off the bat.
Navy SEAL Team 6 member and more. And then also, still to come, LeGarrette Blount, who won 3 Super Bowl rings, 2 with New England, 1 with Philadelphia, against New England. Sikkim, 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
This month, it's all about the championship drive as our hometown team celebrated the Big 12 championship and a Sugar Bowl win. So can you in your new vehicle from Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Waco. During the President's Day sales event, shop for power, performance, and reliability from our selection of the new 2022 Ram 1500 Lone Star. Are you planning your next adventure? Choose from a range of Jeep models, including the 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Take home the trophy from Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links, and you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco, is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
They're going to throw, and they're going to score. It is Thornton celebrating with his teammates.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Honored to be joined by Jake Plummer, amazing quarterback for a long time in the NFL, and Marcus Capone, SEAL Team 6, with us here from Radio Row at Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles. Jake, one of my favorite players to watch play for the longest time. I'm kind of curious, talk a little football when we start out. Marcus, I know you're a football guy as well. I'm curious your thoughts on Joe Burrow. Do you see a little yourself in him? Because he's wily and cool under pressure, and nobody can ever get a clean hit on him, kind of like you.
Well, thank you, man. I guess he is a little like me if you think that. I really, to be honest, have watched very little football. Been involved in some other stuff that has been taking my time that's
that's been fun and exciting. But I remember seeing him win a national title, and could just kind of tell there was a swagger, something about his confidence that wasn't offensive or didn't rub people the wrong way, but actually was like real deal for his teammates. And so to see him have success like that is I'm not surprised. He probably relates well to his guys, and his guys like him, and they play hard. And as a team, as a collective, they up their game just because they enjoy the guy behind center that's getting a lot of, if not all, the attention, and but isn't so big that he doesn't know who really matters, and that's his teammates. So excited to see him there, and I'm glad to see Stafford get a chance to win the big game after suffering through some years in Detroit.
Marcus, you're a former quarterback for the Salukis. You played. I
tried to play. Yes.
Yeah. What do you think of these two guys in this game?
I'll reiterate what Jake said. I think Burrow's got a long time. He's probably got a lot to learn, and he's full of piss and vinegar, and he's super talented and athletic, but he still doesn't understand maybe the full game yet, as Jake would say. And Stafford suffered in Detroit, and you know what? He's got a great team ahead of him, and I think I think the Rams are going to walk away with a victory on Sunday.
All right, you guys have come together, and your interests intersect here in a lot of ways. Jake, you mentioned that you've been for a while, taking a step back from the game and working on other things, passionate things, athletes, veterans, medical treatments, different alternative ways of doing things. When did the light come on for you, so to speak, when it came to working with these causes? Because we know that what the NFL did to treat athletes and what was going on with veterans and how they were getting treatment for their medical issues was not the right plan for a very long time, and still really isn't quite on that path yet.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things happen when you get done playing ball. You're young, you're still in shape. I could have kept playing for a while. So my body was like, I was beat up, but I was still in good shape, and I've been training hard. When you stop training so hard and your body kind of reorganizes itself and gets back to being what it really is, you find out like, wow, I've got some injuries. So dealing with the fact that I had 5 years post-career to be insured by the NFL before I was on my own, I had a couple surgeries and then realized like, oh man, this isn't fun getting surgery. So I really started taking stock of what I was putting in my body, how I was treating my body. And then that's when, hemp and CBD came around, and I was able to advocate and like educate people about that and bring some options to their health and wellness through a plant. And so now again, I get a chance through, getting to meet up with Marcus here. It's doing some amazing stuff with psychedelic assisted therapy. We're in a whole nother realm of mushrooms. People think, yes, there is the psychedelic psilocybin, but there's an entire kingdom of fungus and fungi out there that are highly beneficial to the human body. They're legal. They're not illegal. You're not going to go on a trip, but they're your common, very medicinal mushrooms. I've been able to do that through Umbo mushrooms, and we're going to, through selling that, fund some of these amazing things like Vet Solutions that Marcus is involved with to help bring real life, real time solutions to some of these ailments that our normal humans are facing, let alone our war vets and our football vets or athlete vets that are going through re-assimilating into normal life. And if we can do that and I have the ability to go out and help somebody, it's a very special gift to have.
Marcus, you're coming off of SEAL Team 6 and getting into private life and dealing with that is really hard for a lot of veterans that come out. You have a cause that's very near and dear to my heart. My dad, my late father, was a Vietnam veteran who very late in his life had to deal with reconciling his PTSD, and he came through it, but it was really rough, and for a long time they didn't know, but it was just a thing you did. Like, you went to war, you came back, you sucked it up, and you went on with your life. And it just wasn't something you talked about. So tell me a little bit about vets and the psychedelics and things you're working with, because I think most people hear psychedelics and they think Timothy Leary back in the 60s. They just know the little paragraph they read in their history book and really nothing else.
Yeah. And, we hope Timothy Leary doesn't happen, round two with this new renaissance. But, man, these medicines have been around for a long time. And, they were researched in the 40s and 50s and 60s for mental health. And we're just kind of dusting off the old playbook and doing it again. I found healing through psychedelic medicine. I went the Western medicine approach, multiple brain clinics and multiple pharmaceuticals, and nothing was really worked. And I was almost, I was at the edge. I was at the end of my line. And I found healing outside the U.S. through a place that had been working for over 20 years to receive psychedelic-assisted therapy. The healing is so profound for your mind and body, and really in your brain. And we're talking about, individuals with mild traumatic brain injury and depression, anxiety, and PTSD, and what your dad experienced. We just want to build a better quality of life. When my wife came to visit me, literally 24 hours out of my my journey, if you want to call it, she said, "Man, it's like I got Marcus back from 20 years ago when I met him in college." I mean, it was that radical of a shift of what I was dealing with. And I turned to her and I said, "This is exactly what every veteran needs." I mean, we're trying to figure out what the magic thing is here. It's personalized medicine. Everyone's different. And I can't even say what we're doing is for everyone. But you know what I'm seeing? We have now funded, since I went through treatment, we have now funded over 450 other combat veterans to receive the same exact treatment. If I showed you the testimonials, guys, you'd be blown away. Guys have their lives back. They have their wives and kids back, and we're talking about generational healing here. And listen, I would go back and I would do it again. I would go to college. I'd play football. I would graduate. I would go into the military. I'd go overseas, and I'd go fight a war, and I'd come back and I would do it again, because it's just it was just some of the most amazing memories and friendships I have in my life. And Jake would get on the football field and he would do it exactly the same way. But guess what? That stops. About. You still have half your life to live when you take the jersey off, when you take your uniform off. And so we're just we're going to accept all those individuals that are looking for help once they're done. And you know what? 20 veteran suicides a day is not okay on my watch, and we're going to end the veteran suicide rate.
Well, and
the epidemic.
Yeah, it is. And that is as noble a cause as you can possibly imagine. For either of you, but Marcus, you went through it. When people hear psychedelic, they kind of think that you're sitting in a field and listening to the Grateful Dead or Fish or something. This is not what it is.
Sure.
It's a lot. Can you kind of describe what it is that people would go through? We've got a great VA here in Waco. We've got Fort Hood in our listing area in Killeen, and what people can experience if they do try to go find this route, which I know is not easily available in the United States.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now. So I don't know if you guys know about Bill 1802 in Texas, which we helped pass with Governor Rick Perry and Alex Dominguez. Baylor, right in your backyard, their research center is putting together the first study, which will take Texas taxpayer dollars, and it's going to be towards psilocybin, I believe, psilocybin therapy, with Baylor running the research and the Houston VA providing the veterans to go through that study. So it's going to be a first of its kind. We worked on that we really didn't work on it for long. We showed up at the Texas State Capitol with the right people, Medal of Honor recipients, and just said, "Hey, this worked for us. You need to do this here in the state." You know what? The Texas lawmakers, both Democrats and Republicans, it came out of the Health Committee 11-0. Like, there was not even a question of whether this should be, whether veterans should have access to these treatments. So we're just on a mission right now to do this across the country. And yeah, you know what? There's absolutely recreational usage of psychedelics. It'll continue to happen. You know what? And I won't be a hypocrite. People, number one, they want to heal. So if that's the way they're going to heal, they're going to find access to that stuff. And you know what? We can't get mad at that. We're going a different route. And like I said, I'm not going to get mad at it, but that's not our mission. Our mission is to bring those medicines here to the U.S. and provide access to the individuals that need them.
Jake, reading a profile on you, one of your former coaches said that you could easily walk away from football and find passion in something else. And that's clearly something you've done. It's hard for a lot of athletes to do that. How were you able to step away from something that had been so much of your existence and find fulfillment in the next phase of your life?
It hasn't been easy, and I'm still on a path of self-exploration and awareness to find what that next thing is. And like these opportunities come my way to inform others out there that there are better ways to approach maybe your health and wellness, or what you're eating, or how you're approaching each day, and how positively you think, who you're surrounding yourself with. And as I progress down the path post-career, I've just opened myself up to this to be, kind of a walking healer, to help people understand, like, hey, look, I'm 47 years old, played a lot of football. I've been through some stuff too, even though, everybody thinks these athletes have this privileged world we live in with no problems. We are human also. We have families, we have kids, we have issues from our past, ancestors that they passed down through DNA. So, I mean, we're all dealing with a lot of stuff. And to be able to just make people think, give them an opportunity to think about a different way to approach health and wellness. What are you putting in your body? Assess why you feel so crappy every day, and then kind of look back at maybe what you did for the last 5 days. If you sat and watched TV, drank Bud Light, and ate chips, Doritos, you're probably not going to feel very good. So, giving them a chance to just see there are ways out there, and then through UMBO being able to provide a high-level product for them to, try it out. Get over your fear of mushrooms or your lack of knowledge about mushrooms, and instead of just assuming that they're just going to trip you out or there's some gross added slimy thing you put on a burger at Carl's Jr.'s, let's talk real deal there of an entire kingdom that's like good for the human body. So I don't know. I get a chance to do these things. I follow the path. I meet guys like Marcus Capone, Robert Gallery, and who knows who else that are just extraordinary humans ready to come down here and, again, share our stories, be vulnerable, and also show that we're not afraid to bend down and shed a tear or two as grown men, which is something in our society that's a no-no, and especially in football. You can't be weak. You show sign of weakness. Well, sometimes you got to be real weak and vulnerable in order to come back out of those ashes and get strong again. And we're going through that process all the time and letting people know it's okay. Come find us. Come see what's up. Check out vetsolutions.org and check out getumbo.com, and then, find some people that may be able to help change your life.
Marcus, if a veteran who has been afraid to seek treatment is listening to this today, what would your message to them be? Or I get afraid or embarrassed, conflicted about telling somebody about it. What would your message to them be?
My message is, hey, if you're struggling, you need to raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, life's not going to get better. You got to be vulnerable, as Jake just said, to grow. And so, it's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. And, I don't care what people say right now, but it is strength, raising your hand and asking for help. Because guess what? When you feel better, you're going to go help 1,000 more people. And how could someone say that's a sign of weakness?
Marcus, Jake, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck in your mission. Good luck in getting the word out. Thank you for what you guys are doing and helping vets and continuing the mission to end the veteran suicide epidemic. Really great talking to you today.
Oh, thank you so much. And again, if you want some information, we're Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions, vetsolutions.org. And Jake, your company is
thank you guys. GetUmbo.com, and we appreciate the opportunity to share. Thanks, man. Thanks,
Jake, Paul. Marcus, thank you so much. Jake Palmer, Jake the Snake with us here on SicEm 365 Radio, and Marcus Capone from SEAL Team 6, SicEm 365 Radio, 365.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive. It's a staple of the Waco economy. And you're about to approach this time of the year where you have the holidays, special gifts. It's not that you don't have that every single day. What are some of the things you have coming up?
Christmas is the biggest time of year for engagements. You know, we kind of call ourselves the wedding ring store. We do all of our own custom work in-house. I've got 2 expert jewelers on staff every day. We can make anything from scratch. We kind of pride ourselves, probably 9 out of 10, every engagement ring we do is actually made custom to what the customer wants.
People look at that, oh my God, I can't afford it. I can't afford something like that. You've shown me examples that you could fit pretty much any budget.
It doesn't cost any more to custom make something. You still have gold, you still have diamonds, and you still have labor. Best thing about a custom piece is if you have any old jewelry or heirloom jewelry or something passed down from a grandma or somebody, we can take that jewelry and use it towards your wedding ring for the sentimental value, and then you've got the product, and then it's just a little bit of labor and a little bit of design on your part of what you actually want.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
We are now joined by 3-time Super Bowl champion LeGarrette Blount, who's also representing LG's Feel Good. We'll get to that in a moment. But, LeGarrette, thanks for your time on Sikkim 365 Radio. Does Super Bowl week still bring back the great memories you had when you were a part of that?
Oh yeah, man. I had a blast in the Super Bowl. It's always going to bring back memories. Anytime I'm in any atmosphere, any kind of energy towards the game, I'm always going to get those butterflies again.
And you know, to be able to be a part of that with the Patriots and then the Eagles and to experience that, and you were a part of helping them with with the running game and all the things you did. What was that like to be a part of it, just in general?
It was fun, man. It was a blast. It was, the feeling is unmatched. Just being able to go out there and participate in the game that you feel is the biggest game of your career or the biggest game on any sports stage. Just to go over there and go out there and be able to just participate in that, and be a part of the reason that you win. That's an unmatched feeling for sure.
What was more exciting, winning the first one, winning another one with the Patriots, or then coming back with another team and playing against them in a Super Bowl and winning?
So my favorite game was the Philly one. You know what I'm saying? Because I balled out. But my favorite, I'm gonna say, my favorite game was the Philly one. That was my favorite game to participate in, and that was fun because I did play good and I did get a lot of yards, scored a touchdown. I balled out. So that third one was the funnest.
Well, there's no question about it, and obviously the way you ran, the power. And how you played the game. Was that something that was always a part of you from the beginning when you played, even in college and high school, and where did that come from?
Oh, yeah, that's always been a part of my game. I don't think that'll ever change. I don't think that'll ever stop. that's always been a part of my game. That's just kind of my style of play.
You're representing LG's Feel Good. Tell us a little bit about it. It's a little bit about pain management, aches and pains, etc.
Yeah, so LG's Feel Good is my CBD company. It's all natural and all organic. It's 100% THC free. We have pain patches. We have salve. We have a rollerball. This is all great stuff for military. We have anxiety drops. We have sleep gummies. We have all these things. These are great for military, great for professional sports, great for everyday life. It's just, it's the best way to deal with pain, and deal with those things like that. When it comes to taking opioids and things like that, that's just the last thing you want to do, because that stuff is just not healthy for you. So, that was my angle, just the opioids, how easily it is to be addicted to pain pills and all of these different things. So that's why, that my approach to this was definitely just make sure that you get something that's healthy for people. Make sure you get give people different resources and different ways to deal with this stuff rather than taking pills.
Look, Garrett, you played the game, and as I mentioned, you were physical, and how you ran with the football. Can you try to explain some of what the aches and pains were like playing in the NFL?
Man, they were not the best. I'm gonna just say that, man. The aches and pains, you deal with them for a really long time. It's not just a one-time thing. Once you start getting them, they don't go away. The best thing you can do is manage them. I think that, and like I said, I think this is the best way to do that. This is the healthiest way to do that.
And the thing about it is you're trying to talk about, the military, they come back, they're serving our country. You hear about athletes as heroes, and that's probably true, and I'm sure some people have looked up to you as well. But those are our true heroes, correct? Those who serve our country every day?
100% correct. I am in 100% agreement with you that those guys are the ones that are the real heroes. Those guys are the ones that support our country and help our country be in a position to where we don't have to worry, you know what I'm saying? Because they do all the worrying and all the fighting for us, and taking care of our company, or taking care of our nation and things like that. So I think they deserve a lot more credit than what they're ever given.
LeGarrette Blount, three-time Super Bowl champion. A couple more questions. I know you got to go from Radio Row in Los Angeles. Super Bowl 56 this weekend, the Rams and the Bengals. Life for you wasn't always easy. And living life, I'm 62, and I know you're much younger than me, but there are always bumps in the road. What did you learn about yourself through adversity?
Man, I learned that, you got to be resilient, man. You got to always fight, man, and never give up. Never let anyone tell you you can't do something, man, because I had all the odds stacked against me. I ended up coming out on the other side, on the back end, and being successful. So, man, I just was resilient, man. I just put my head down and work, and I never gave up, and I just grinded it out, for every chance I get, I took advantage of that opportunity.
Appreciate it, LeGarrette Blount, three-time Super Bowl champion, representing LG's Feel Good Pain Management, Sikkim 365 Radio. All right, there we go with LeGarrette Blount, Jake Plummer, along with the young man who's a part of Navy SEAL Team 6, and we always have been able to do a lot with Sierra Delta as well with our time at Radio Row. Now, it is Super Bowl 56, and we'll get into the game a little bit more tomorrow, plus a couple of entertainment segments we'll have tomorrow as well. So we haven't discussed much of the game, and on occasion we have, but the Rams have all the firepower. The Bengals seem to have some grit and the ability to hang around, and then, poof, here they are. And they've done it. They did it last week 2 weeks ago to the Chiefs. It wouldn't surprise me if either team win. There used to be when, there's no way, but there is a way.
Yeah, I really haven't gotten to a point where I'm ready to pick a team yet. Everything tells me the Rams, but Something about Joe Burrow makes you want to pick the Bengals.
I'm going Rams. I think everybody's getting way too into the Burrow thing. It'd be one thing if everybody said, well, I'm going Bengals just because this thing specifically, but everybody's just pointing to it's Joe Burrow. It's just, and look, hey, if that's what you're going to ride with, you're going to be more right than you're wrong if you are siding with Joe Burrow. But I don't know. I just feel like there's not any real valid reasoning anybody is picking the Bengals outside of I just think Joe Burrow's going to find a way. You know what? But if you look at the actual game and the matchups, it's Rams all day. It's Rams all day. It's the Rams, and I'm going with the Rams in this game. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm backtracking to say, well, it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me if either team won this game. It's a Super Bowl, so you just never know what's going to happen. But if I had to put money down on it, then I'm going to place my bet on Los Angeles to win a Super Bowl in their hometown. And I'd love to be wrong, though. I'd love to see Burrow win a title. I think that'd be a really cool story if the Bengals rose up from nothingness to suddenly becoming Super Bowl champions. That would be an incredible story. Storyline-wise, definitely give me the Bengals, but just matchup-wise, give me the Rams.
Bengals tight end CJ Uzomah will go all in. If the Bengals win Super Bowl 56, he said he will get into a tub full of chili, Cincinnati-style
Skyline chili.
Chili. It says Cincinnati-style chili, Skyline chili. I don't know if I would if I was able to be a part of a world championship, say something like that. It's not like that's not
it's
life-threatening.
It's chili and noodles. It's better than most things you could do.
I don't know why you just offer that up. That's my question about it. Is why?
Well, because that's a famous thing, I guess, in Cincinnati.
No, I get why, but why volunteer to do that? Why? I don't know. Just celebrate the Super Bowl. But if you want to do something cool to get the fans riled up, that's great. But go out and win it, and then do it. But until you win that game, I don't really think it matters what anybody's bathing in afterwards. You got to win that game to make it that much fun. But that would be a nice little PR deal, and I'm sure the Cincinnati fans get a kick out of that.
Tom Van Haren on ESPN. Tom Brady appears to have thrown his last ever touchdown pass because of the retirement. His first touchdown ball sold for $428,000 last year. His last touchdown now, that ball is going to go up for going up for auction. Which is more valuable, his first or his last?
I'd say his last.
I would think so too. Especially because it's not like he's just some guy that had 1 year.
He hadn't won any Super Bowls when he threw that first pass. He's kind of a different player with that last one than he was with that first one. So, that first one obviously is going to always command a high price tag, but that's rookie Tom Brady versus 7-time Super Bowl champion, first ballot Hall of Famer, greatest quarterback ever, Tom Brady. So, I would think that last one would go for a bit of a higher price tag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and after Evans scored, there was the story. He threw the ball in the crowd, and eventually they went and retrieved it and rewarded the fan with all sorts of things as well. But, I'm amazed at I understand collections. There's collections of silver or gold or artifacts, pictures, paintings, whatever. But it's insane to me that you see these things going for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and people have that kind of money. Well, what the hell, right? So that's going out. That's going to be going on. Now, the Hall of Fame this weekend. Does DeMarcus Ware get in?
I don't know why. Other than a numbers game, I don't know why he wouldn't. He's totally qualified to be in the Hall of Fame. So.
Is he really a Hall of Famer to you guys?
I think so, yeah.
I know the numbers say he is, but I never watched him and thought that's a Hall of Famer right there. And I could just be totally off base on that. I just feel like he was a numbers guy, and it's what it's about. It's the numbers. I don't know. I don't think of DeMarcus Ware as a Hall of Famer, and I could be totally wrong on that, and that's fine. But he's just not somebody that strikes me right away. But obviously he does to others. Paul thinks he is, and plenty of other people do. One of the greatest of all time, I don't know.
He was really good for a long time.
He was really good.
Finally got a Super Bowl ring, which does help.
That definitely helps.
When he went to Denver.
But, you could blame the fact that he maybe doesn't knock people over because the Cowboys were so greatly average throughout most of his seasons there. Yeah. Not through his fault.
No,
it wasn't his fault.
No, he was a great player. I just don't, and I think it probably is the teams he played on. It's just his Super Bowl didn't come in Dallas, it came in Denver, so he did get that, and then that'll probably push him over the top. Super good dude from all, interactions with him and everything, but Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just totally off base on that. And the numbers I know say he is. I never thought of him that way.
All right, let's look at some numbers. Jared Allen, DeMarcus Ware. Jared Allen's also a finalist. I don't think he gets in, at least not this first time. Allen played in 178 career games. DeMarcus Ware played 187 for Allen. Ware played in 178. Allen finished with 136 sacks. DeMarcus Ware finished with 138.5 sacks. Jared Allen finished with 648 tackles. DeMarcus Ware had 657 tackles. Fumble recoveries. DeMarcus Ware had 8. Jared Allen had 19. So, and there's others. I think of one thing when you think about defensive ends. I think about the impact they had. Both of them were good. I don't think Jared Allen's a Hall of Famer, at least not in this class. And they're basically the same player. Ware did win a championship with the year he played, when he was, of course, picked up by Denver. And he was in Denver for 3 years. So that will be, and sometimes when you compare them. Now, Sam Mills or Zach Thomas?
Yes.
If you say yes on both.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a Sam Mills advocate for a while, and Zach Thomas was one of the most dominant tacklers in the league, best defenders in the league when he played. Sam Mills the same way. Both of them should be in.
Well, I know there's a lot of people that should be in, but are they going to go in at the same time? They're the same.
I don't know. That's can you only have one diminutive linebacker at a time?
Oh,
Sam Mills is no longer with us either, but yeah.
Zach Thomas, okay, Sam Mills in his career finished, good Lord, 1,265 tackles. Zach Thomas had 1,734. He played a little bit longer, but not, that's a lot of tackles. I don't have the information on Pro Bowls and things like that. How many?
Pro Bowls should not count towards you getting into the Hall of Fame anyways. Yeah.
All Pro. Sam Mills, 1996, was first team All Pro. Zach Thomas, 5-time first team All Pro.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. Zach Thomas is a Hall of Famer. Now, Sam Mills, you have to make a little bit of a different argument for, but if you wanted me to pick one or the other, I'm picking Zach Thomas. The All Pros alone tell you that.
He was All Pro 9 different times in his career. 5 times first team All Pro. Sam Mills, he was on a bunch. There's different type of All Pro teams as well. But so that's okay. Now, Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, who's been on the edge many times, and we had Isaac Bruce, who was there lingering many times, finally got in, or Andre Johnson. Pick one. And I don't have anything in front of me. I don't know the numbers. Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, or Reggie Wayne get in the Hall of Fame. If one of the three, who would you pick?
Torrey Holt won so did Reggie Wayne. Gosh.
I think more than one of them's getting in, so I don't really feel the need to split hairs.
Well, that's a position that does seem to get kind of – now there's been a little flood of them of late.
Well, but Andre Johnson was also one of the most dominant players in the league. So that one's a little tougher if you have to, but I don't know. I don't know. I can't.
All right. Well, that maybe they all.
By the way, Andre Johnson and Reggie Wayne were both on the same Miami team in 2001.
Yeah, the best team maybe of all time. Other than
2000, they were 2000.
Patrick Willis and Bryant Young, both former 49ers. Bryant Young was good, and I might be completely wrong on Pro Bowls, All Pros, whatever. Patrick Willis was a tackling machine. Injuries ended his career, I believe. But I've seen the Bryant Young, and what am I missing here?
I don't know. Bryant Young might be in the Hall of really good to me. He was really, really good, though, for a long time.
Rondé Barber, Tampa Bay, part of their Super Bowl win.
He had a lot of interceptions, a lot of turnovers he created.
Leroy Butler, popular player, played on a Super Bowl team and won it with Favre with the Packers.
You're darn right, Leroy Butler.
Florida State.
Yeah.
You know who's still not a part of this? Darren Woodson.
Yeah,
I think his time has come. He's going to be.
I would think Darren Woodson. If Leroy Butler gets in, then you have to put Darren Woodson in. They're very similar.
Well, I know, but Butler's a finalist.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I'm just saying that part of the reason I want to. But I want Woody to get in as well.
All right. DeMarcus Ware, Richard Seymour, a part of those great runs with the Patriots.
Yeah.
So but there'll be only 5, like, right?
Yeah.
5. Baselli, I would, again, he's kind of running out of time.
Yeah.
Great player for the longest of time with the Jacksonville. He didn't play that long, though. That's the thing about Baselli, but he played that offensive line position. He played 6 or 7 years with Jacksonville, including their expansion years, and then with the Texans, and he was injured.
Devin Hester's also on this list. And
Yes,
I think
he is. I was going to get to him last.
I think he's the most interesting one to me in the whole thing because, he wasn't a great defensive back or wide receiver where they tried to play him when he did and running back, but he was the best returner ever.
And that's debatable. But he was he opened up the Super Bowl against the Colts for Chicago and Lovie Smith with a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Jack says that Leroy Butler invented the greatest TD celebration of all time, which would be the Lambeau Leap.
Into the stands, up in the crowd. Yep. I wonder how many, and off the top of my head, I don't know how many just pure kick punt returners are in the Hall of Fame.
Well, Eric Metcalf isn't.
No, Brian Mitchell, one of the best ever, isn't.
So Devin Hester would be the first.
Maybe. I'm going to look at that when we do it. Let's go to a break. We'll come back with Paul Catalina's Top 5, 555 Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Top 5 out of nowhere Super Bowl MVPs. And really, there's only 4 people on this list. There's one in the 70s that I couldn't quite wrap my head around, so I skipped it because I didn't know. Jake Scott from the Dolphins.
Yeah, he's a real good player.
Yeah, see, so I was like, not a surprise. But this one, that's why I put the actual Hall of Famer on this list is 5th, but you wouldn't have expected from this team that he would be the MVP of the game. Number 5, Richard Dent, the Bears, Super Bowl 20. This is a team that had Walter Payton on it. And then Mike Singletary, and Richard Dent was a Hall of Famer, but given the fact that the defensive end in this Super Bowl, now granted that Bears defense was maybe the greatest of all time, still surprising that Richard Dent was the one who was the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Good dude. I interviewed him one time. I always liked him. I always thought, that team had so many different personalities, and he never seemed to be someone that jumped out at you like Singletary had the eyes, or like Refrigerator Perry was almost like a separate story in himself. Hell of a player, Richard Dent.
By the way, Mike Singletary is about to be on this reality show on CBS where he and other celebrities like Ray Lewis, Meta World Peace, and some other people are in the jungle doing challenges.
That's why his voicemail his phone goes straight to voicemail.
Yeah.
He's been kind of incognito or just busy.
Yeah. Number 4, in honor of Jack McKenzie, Desmond Howard, Super Bowl 31.
Long kickoff return, is that right, for the Packers?
Yeah, kickoff returns, punt returns. I mean, he was just all over the place.
Against the Patriots and Bill Parcells.
Yeah.
He was drafted by the Washington Redskins. At the time, seemed like you'd love to get all sorts of opportunities, get in the ball. I think they threw a reverse pass one time in a kick return. He scored early in his career, and he just never materialized and won a Super Bowl and an MVP.
Yeah, he was a Heisman Trophy winner and Super Bowl MVP. I believe he was the first person to do that. He had a tremendous game, and much more known, of course, for his analyst work, which I'll leave at that. Or snubbing us one time, just sitting in the middle of a room alone. Like, hey, you got 5 minutes? No.
Hey,
all right, you could have fooled me.
We had him. It was during the time when Baylor and TCU were both really, really good, and I interviewed him. I recorded him. ESPN set it up, and then I get a call from the woman that set it up, and she was angry with me because I was combative and argumentative with Desmond Howard, like he was Jesus Christ of college football, and I wasn't allowed to ask him questions or follow up.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3, Malcolm Smith, Seahawks, Super Bowl 47. Remember, he had interceptions. He was made plays out of nowhere, and he wasn't even the best player, not even close to the best player on their defense. A total role player on the defense, Malcolm Smith. Number 2, Dexter Jackson, Bucks, Super Bowl 37. I think
that was the one. Yeah, that's when they beat the Raiders. Gruden came back to beat the Raiders, and Dungy had just left. I remember him picking up 2 passes in that game.
In the first half. He probably should not have been the MVP. Really, I mean, he was right on it, but he had the big plays. He was kind of the game-changing guy in that Super Bowl, in the Bucs' first Super Bowl win. But Dexter Jackson, Florida State, Super Bowl MVP of Super Bowl 37. I'm sorry about that graphic. That one's my fault, Jack, on the thing. So I'm sorry about that if you want to correct us on the thing, but that was my fault.
Speaking of Heisman Trophy winners and Super Bowl MVPs, Jim Plunkett won Super Bowl in Super Bowl, looks like 15.
So he was the second.
And he was a Heisman Trophy winner,
Yeah. And, of course, number 1, the most out-of-nowhere Super Bowl MVP, Larry Brown, the Cowboys, Super Bowl 30. By and large, and I'm not trying to knock Larry Brown at all. He was very much a role player on that defense. He was fine, but he was the worst player on that defense in Super Bowl 30. And I'm not saying he's bad, but of all the people on that Cowboys defense in Super Bowl 30 that you would have been like, man, you would have thought that it's going to affect the game, Larry Brown would have been after other people that were backups.
And they used that to then get a free agent contract with the Raiders and ended up being an average player. Great guy, very nice person, interviewed him many, many times. Yeah, that team had people on defense, including Dion, who got a pass in that game against the Steelers.
Yeah, that was completely out of nowhere. It was a great night for Larry Brown, and definitely one of the highlights of his career, no doubt about it. But yeah, definitely an unsung or unexpected hero. Based on the list, he is definitely one of the most unexpected guys. I'm watching a Super Bowl like Larry Brown, really? Like that's the guy that's going to be the difference maker. But hey, that might be somebody on one of the Rams or Bengals rosters this weekend, and it might not be Joe Burrow or any of the other number of stars in this game. It could be a Larry Brown type.
Yeah. And as a Cowboy fan, I love Larry Brown until the day I die, and I also love Neil O'Donnell to play his worst game of the season in the Super Bowl 30.
He voted for Larry Brown. Larry Brown voted for Neil O'Donnell.
That was the last time I experienced true NFL joy. I was 15 years old, almost 16.
Damn. That's a long time ago, and then go 3-4 years earlier, and that's the last time I did it.
I couldn't drive a car without my parents in it.
That's how long ago it was?
That's how long it's been.
Yeah. Well, and those were gift wrap, too. That was a good competitive game in Phoenix.
I'd seen one Playboy for 2 minutes.
This is hurting you. What?
I mean, you know.
All right. Thank you, Emery. Right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Jack. Also to Armstrong, who's got jet lag, but he slept like a baby last night from his trip to Spain and back. For Paul, Catalina, and Craig Smoak, thank you for all of you who listen or watch and be a part of the chat room or text or call. And, of course, our incredible sponsors. Back at it again tomorrow at 3 o'clock Central. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. David Smoak, good night.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.